Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
All right, welcome into Up Tempo today, everybody. Happy Tuesday, Super Tuesday in college basketball, following the Baylor Lady Bears clinching their 11th straight outright Big 12 championship last night. They've done it again. I'm Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims is somewhere out in the void. My man, what's going on?
It's good to be back in this thing, man. We got a little better setup. We're a little more prepared this time for the remote. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Yeah. We have a better setup. That's the old saying.
I like that. Good call. I mean, let's get centered here. Right there. Is that it? Is that right there? How about today? Break it. Oh, you like the little, no fire in the background. Like I said, my dad told me I used to have the fire, right? For those that have watched the other remote shows. And then my dad, while he's here in Waco this weekend, actually was like, hey, you know that fire that you guys use? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I hate it. Don't do it again. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it's way too much. So my family, they're my biggest critics.
It sounds like they, from the wardrobe to the setup. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I thought family was supposed to be family and support you. But anyway, I like the fire.
They keep me in check.
Women keep you grounded.
Oh, they do. Women's basketball last night, 64-57 the final score. Baylor up to number 6 now. We had Feinberg on yesterday to talk to us about a little bit of women's basketball across the country. He said this Baylor team's clicking at the right time. All the right cylinders are hitting right now. 64-57 last night over Texas. Charlie Collier was held at bay again. She's maybe the best player in the country. Will be possibly the number 1 draft pick in the WNBA draft. And Nalissa Smith goes off with 23 points, 7 rebounds. Queen Egbo with a double-double, 14 boards last night. Baylor, Kim Mulkey, a dominance that is sustained.
Yeah, I mean, they're rolling. They're probably anybody in the country right now. I really don't see them getting tested until maybe the Elite 8, Final 4, but they're rolling. You can pretty much punch their ticket. They are listed as number 6. They're playing a lot better than number 6 right now in the country.
And today, how about it? Lock it in. It's Baylor men's basketball game day. Tonight's not Super Tuesday. This afternoon is Super Tuesday. They 4 p.m. tip in Morgantown, Baylor, WVU, the Bear, and the Mountaineer. If they were to take real life form, the Bear fans already voted, and they got the Bear in that. Yeah. They got Baylor. They got a Bear in real life form. But in basketball form, I don't know, man.
It's good. I mean, I think you and I were both surprised. We thought maybe West Virginia would be favored by 3 or something like that. They got Baylor by -4.5 right now. Baylor's sitting up probably. Yeah. I bet that gets down to like 3 before the game, but I'm very surprised that Vegas picked Baylor to win and by such a large margin, by a couple buckets.
Shot quality. We talked to Simon from Shot Quality last week, who has I mean, he's got some solid picks that he's just dropping on the world. He's got Baylor 78-71. The analytics numbers only say Baylor 78-71.
Well, then I think I know where my money's going then. I think I know what I'm doing tonight. Or I guess not even tonight, in a few hours here. What we said yesterday too. What a weird time.
Oh yeah. It makes zero sense to me why they would play at 4 p.m. Somebody's losing money on this, Like I don't get. I can see how, all right, you threw a random game in here. We got to just put it at this time. But this is a top 6 matchup. Mind you, if West Virginia wins out, they're Big 12 champions. They're the number 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament. So they got plenty to play for. I don't know what. Okay. What is pointing to West Virginia, losing this game by 5 points. Why? Who? What?
Yeah. I think
West Virginia is better than Kansas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're looking at Baylor. I think Baylor's like the big thing they're looking at here with the entirety of their resume, right? Like these last few games, sure, but the entirety of their resume, I think, is like, okay, I could see. I mean, if they're playing this game a few weeks ago, Baylor's double-digit favorites, right? So all things considered, I guess I can see the case for it. I am surprised that they're giving Baylor this many points. Like even maybe Baylor -2, -1.5, but 4.5 is like quite a few buckets. Like you're winning that game pretty handily if you cover 4.5.
How about the over-under set at 148.5? Simon has the two teams combining for 149. I mean, we have seen Baylor beat teams when scoring 95. We have seen Baylor beat teams when scoring 65. So it kind of depends on what kind of game that's going to be. Press Virginia, though, they like to go fast. This could be a high-scoring shootout. But again, I am perplexed right now. I mean, at this high-scoring shootout, how Baylor's going to win by 5. What is it? Metrics?
Yeah.
Are there numbers out there when you look at trends? Do you have Baylor even winning this game? Period.
If you look at trends, I think not. The way Baylor's played the last 2 games. I mean, if that's a trend, they're limping into this game. And so, what I'm gathering from everything that we're seeing with the basketball power index, whatever that means, Simon from shot quality, which I think he probably has the best handle on any metrics that I can get a hold of. I think we're kind of assuming, okay, Baylor's going to get their legs back. They've had a week or so to get back underneath themselves physically, and that's going to be the difference. Because if Baylor plays like Baylor's capable of playing, they are top to bottom a better team than West Virginia. They're capable of playing way better than West Virginia. Baylor at their best is better than West Virginia at their best. And so even though it's in Morgantown, I think a lot of the analytics and a lot of the experts are thinking, hey, Baylor's going to become Baylor again. And so will they? That remains to be seen because these last 2 games have not been promising at all.
Hey, I think Baylor at their best is far, far and away better than West Virginia. I would agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. But my question is Baylor at their best right now? Have they shown you? Did they show you a spurt in the Kansas game? I want to look at okay, where can I give them the benefit of the doubt and say, all right, Baylor can come back tonight and be the same Baylor they were against UT and Austin, and I don't see that yet. I've yet to see, even you thought against Kansas, they could go on that run that they always go on where they beat the other team, and they didn't do that either.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the whole season, right, then you're like, okay, if you're looking at that sample size, then, okay, you probably feel pretty good. But these last 2 games, which I think is all you can really go off of because of the COVID stint, like teams are just different after COVID, right, especially a couple games off. With how fresh they are, it's like, when do you get back to yourself? I think the average human, I said again, given my extensive Google research, like about 4 weeks. So is 3 games the equivalent of 4 weeks for a Baylor basketball athlete? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But what it really comes down to for me is Jared Butler playing well tonight. He needs to show up in a big way. He can't be single-digit Jared Butler against this team. He needs to play big, especially from beyond the arc.
I like Jared Butler to play well tonight. That is a key. Also, though, the bench has got to play better. I think Kansas's bench and Baylor's bench went toe-to-toe in game 1, and what has made Baylor so good has been their depth. Even when they get torched by a big man down low, their depth is right there to clean things up, and they haven't had the depth power through teams like we've seen in the past. Scotty B, the Baylor King, says, hopefully Baylor men's basketball plays better today, but if nothing else, it helps us if Oklahoma State it will help us for Oklahoma State on Thursday. If we win 1 game or West Virginia loses 1 more game this season, we win the conference. So Scotty B put out there on Twitter today he was doing some digging, and he found that it sounds complicated, but there's a way in which Baylor ends up being conference champions without winning another game. There's a lot that kind of goes into it. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole, but it's possible, and it's out there. But even with the loss tonight, it's not all over.
Yeah, and I think if you're Baylor, the pressure of winning one of these next 3 has to be enormous, right? Like, you don't want to win the Big 12 championship rooting for Oklahoma State to lose a game or whatever the scenario was. You want to win outright. You want to celebrate the Big 12 championship because you won on your own power, not because some default fluke thing happened.
How about the we'll get into, but Matt in DC. Matt in DC says score 80, we win. Vegas knows we're pissed off and ready to go. Get the pancakes ready. Yeah, does Baylor have the firepower to score 80 tonight in Morgantown?
80 is a lot. And
80 is a lot. For 80, and not only that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think West Virginia can put up 80.
Yeah, I mean, they're averaging 77. I mean, Baylor's averaging 85. And again, that's pre-COVID Baylor. So it's a very different Baylor team. But my question is, if Baylor does score 80, right, like who steps up? Is it Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell both? We kind of see the Batman and Robin thing go again. Is it the bench playing? Really, like, where are you getting 80 points from? Because I think you need more than just two starters to play well.
No, I think it's an Adam Flagler. I think your key to 80 points is Matthew Meyer putting up 15, Adam Flagler putting up 15, somewhere in there, which is not unheard of. I don't think that's asking too much of those guys. I mean, maybe Mark Vital sneaks in with 12. That'd be big.
Mm-hmm. Vital is going to be crucial in this game. I think he was crucial in last game. He played decent, but defensively, what he brings, like just his style of play, is going to be big on the road in Morgantown. A team like West Virginia likes to wear you out. Vital needs to be the difference maker and be the X factor, both offensively and defensively. I want to see him do the dirty work and just have a huge game tonight. That would be my wish.
West Virginia, number 6 in the country, 17-6 overall, number 2 in the Big 12. They're still vying for a conference title this season. Looking up and down their last couple of games, I mean, their only loss since January 30th is against Oklahoma at home, and that's when OU was really firing on all cylinders. They lost at home. Now, mind you, West Virginia lost at home in a game that I favored them by a lot against Florida. They lost 85-80. I had them as a lock to win that one, and they ended up losing it. But at Iowa State by 4. They struggled in that one. They struggled a little bit at home against Kansas, but that's when Kansas was reeling. Then they go on the road and beat Texas Tech by double digits before the double overtime loss to Oklahoma. And then they knock off Texas on the road by 2. In that crazy game, they were down 19. Beat TCU by 8 on the road, and then Kansas State, a 22-point beatdown in Morgantown, where the teams only combined for 108 points. I don't think tonight's going to be one of those games. I think Baylor scores more than 43 that Kansas State did. But West Virginia is on a 3-game win streak. They have won now 6 out of their last 7, and dating back, they won 8 out of the last 10. West Virginia is they're not the hottest team in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's the hottest team in the Big 12 right now. They're playing really, really good basketball. But West Virginia scares me, man. I don't know if tonight's the night that Baylor locks it down and wins the Big 12 title. I can't say that it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think you and I go back and forth about who's the optimist, who's the realist, who's the pessimist, all those things. But I'm pretty much on board with you here. I think West Virginia, this is like the worst time to catch them. We talked about Baylor coming off COVID. Iowa State, like that was the best time to catch them. That was the best game Baylor could have. This is probably one of the worst games you could have outside of Oklahoma State. And they got to go back and play them at home here in a few days. So we're going to really find out what this team is worth in terms of what they have under the hood. Like, we've seen the talent, we've seen the chemistry, we've seen all that, but what do you have when the chips are stacked against you? You're coming off a tough loss on the road. You need one more win to win the Big 12 championship. That's all it takes. You need one more win, and you want to do it tonight. You don't want to come back and have this homestand of 2 games. You want to do it tonight against a quality opponent to legitimize your season. So I think we find out a lot of what Baylor has in here tonight.
I think we will. I mean, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight past your physical abilities with COVID. You said it. 4 weeks. It takes, on average, 4 weeks to build yourself back up after having COVID-19. And it's going to take that for Baylor tonight as they face West Virginia in Morgantown. We want your score predictions tonight. 254-339-1122. Barstool SicEm says, I'm putting my money on winning the Big 12 championship in Waco. Hey, if it doesn't happen tonight and it ends up happening against a really hot Oklahoma State team on Thursday in the Farrell Center, Baylor takes home a Big 12 championship, I don't think anybody would complain. I mean, yeah, you've dropped a couple of games, but getting to do that in the Farrell Center for the first time ever, that'd be huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you have, again, those are also, I think, more winnable games than tonight. Like, I think Barstool SicEm's got a pretty good point. They do great stuff. I love Barstool SicEm, but I mean, if you were to draw up a perfect, like, let's say tonight just goes south, like Baylor gets just beat down in Morgantown, they lose by 10, you can still regroup and have 2 games that are really very winnable. I think Texas Tech is the most winnable of those games, but that's the last game of the season, and I think everybody in Waco would be sweating quite a bit if we have to wait till then to clinch. But it's not the end of the world if you lose tonight, but I think it really is a confidence builder. Like, how much better do you feel going to the Big 12 title, or excuse me, in the Big 12 tournament, into the NCAA tournament, having a quality win against a team like West Virginia under your belt? So I think it's more crucial for morale than anything, but definitely not what am I looking for? It's not a deal breaker if you lose tonight for the Big 12 title.
What do you think that if you look at the top 25 poll and Baylor's seeding, say that Baylor drops against West Virginia, they end up dropping to Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. If they lose their next 3, all right, you finish your regular season on a 4-game skid. That's a big if. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. It is not like Baylor's got a TCU to fall back on in these next couple games. In that event, is Baylor still a 1 seed?
You and I were talking about this, I think, before the show. I don't know. I really don't know. And I want to say yes. With all of my heart, I want to say yes. I think a few weeks ago you say yes. I think even after Iowa State you say yes. If they finish and just absolutely blow it these last 2 games, I mean, I think one question is who do you look at? Who do you put instead of Baylor? Who is the 4th team that's better than Baylor? I think that's probably a harder conversation to have than is Baylor a 1 seed. But gosh, man, I think they really start messing with fire if they were to lose these last 4, especially if they have a poor showing in the Big 12 tournament. I mean, that would just be the perfect storm. And I don't feel great about Baylor being anything beside the 1 seed. I mean, we see 2 seeds. I guarantee it'll happen this year. Some 2 seed will lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and especially the history that Baylor has in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I would be a lot more concerned. A 1 seed and a 2 seed isn't a big difference, but it's substantially more likely. We've seen a 1 seed beat a 6 or a 16 beat a 1 only once in history. I don't know how many times it's happened. 15 beat 2, but I get a little more worried when it comes to March. So to answer your question, golly, I hope not. I hope they don't drop out of that top 4, but it's very possible.
Yeah, a 1 seed and 2 seed is the difference in playing Campbell and Winthrop. And I don't know if you've seen it this year, but Winthrop's playing really hot. I want to avoid them round 1. I'd much rather play Campbell as things sit. But I don't know. I think if Baylor ends up losing their next 3, they're probably still a 1 seed, especially if they can snag a game in the NCAA or in the Big 12 championship. Statman in Waco says, I don't feel good about Baylor's chances versus West Virginia and Morgantown. Even if Baylor has more consistent shooting and scoring, it might not be enough. I'm looking at Thursday night in the Farrell Center for Baylor to earn its first Big 12 regular season title. I think so. I think that's the case right now. If I've got to put money on anybody tonight, for the first time really this season, my money's going against the Bears.
So they come home, right? Let's say they lose against West Virginia, they come home. Does that cheapen the Big 12 for you at all? If you're on the team, does that cheapen it for you a little bit? Because you had this, I think this is like the Big 12 title game, right? Like, these are the 2 powers in the Big 12. I think Jason King said yesterday that he thinks West Virginia is the second best team in the Big 12. Like, this is, essentially a regular season conference championship game for Baylor. Like, you get to go against the only team that you haven't played in the Big 12 yet this season in the toughest environment. Like, this is where you find out what you're made of. If you're a player for Scott Drew and you come back without a win from Morgantown, does that taste a little more bitter? Does it make the championship a little less sweet for you?
No. I think so? you're a Big 12 champion either way. I think you're a little bit they're not going to be happy with a loss. I think you're onto something there. They're not going to be chipper that they ended up losing to West Virginia, but I think once that buzzer sounds in Waco and they know they've beaten a really good Oklahoma State team and they're hoisting the Big 12 championship trophy for the first time in program history, that at that point, I don't think it'll matter anymore. I don't think it'll matter. Now, will it be even sweeter to do it in Waco? I mean, doing it tonight, the trophy will be in Morgantown for the guys to hoist. They can do it tonight. They can finish it off. But will it be even sweeter to get that done? I mean, they know it's there. They know they got a shot to do it tonight. I say just go do it. But if it doesn't pan out and you get to do it in the Farrell Center and do it at home, I think there's almost something sweeter about that.
I will say there is something really nice about a bus ride after a win, let alone a conference championship win. I think they'd want to do it tonight. I think if you asked any of them, Morgantown would be the place they want to do it. But I could see it being pretty fun in the Farrell Center too.
Scotty B, the Baylor King, says we honestly do need to win one game or win conference somehow so we can have an 8 or 9 seed in Big 12 tournament as an opponent instead of Texas Tech as a 7 seed. That is scary.
Huge.
Looking at the matchups right now, Baylor could get TCU or Kansas State in round 1 of the Big 12 tournament. I don't think there's any way that one of those two teams is sneaking up on Baylor and Kansas City. But if you got Texas Tech round 1, especially after just playing them to cap off your regular season in the Farrell Center, I don't know, man. I don't want it. I'm staying away from it. No,
especially with McClung. I mean, that guy is a killer. Like when it's time to play, that guy is a killer. I don't want to see any part of them, especially not in round 1. They'll essentially be fighting for some pretty nice seeding when it comes to that. Yep. So when it comes to March, but. No, that's crucial. That's a very good point to Scotty B. How about Scotty B, man? He does it all.
Scotty B is on top of it today. He is on top of it today. All right, here's what we got. Coming up after this break, we're going to check on our FCS teams. Remember that? Yeah. No, we're going to do that. We drafted our FCS teams. Most of them opened up their season this weekend. We're going to check it out and see how they did. My boys, man, I am don't call, don't text. I'm in a perpetual state of sadness now after my guys failed me this weekend, but we'll check those out. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims he's out there. Armstrong, are you out there?
I'm out here.
Yeah, he is.
Out there.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. We're going to hit Armstrong's Minute, a quick break. When we come back, I'll break down the FCS, more Baylor men's basketball, and everything else. This is Up-Tempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight but finished strong to fend off Marquette 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse downed North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3, Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84 and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese, and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den, but remote. And today we're breaking down the FCS teams that we picked last week in our FCS draft. Armstrong, I don't know if you're out there. Armstrong, actually, I do know that you're out there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be live on the air right now. I would love to get a report on how your William and Mary Gales or whatever they are ended up doing. Because I'll tell you what, James Madison struggled. But JD, FCS football kicked off this weekend. Did you get to see any of it?
Dude, these games are not really that nationally televised, which is so disappointing. Like, why are we have football in the spring? Like, why are you hiding this from us? We all want to watch it. Everybody on Tempo wants to watch it, but so Jackson State didn't play, which was found out live on Up Tempo for myself. That was really frustrating. They got Grambling on Sunday. I think they've got a lot of Sunday games going forward, which is kind of strange. So anticipate them getting in the win column there. Dude, Eastern Illinois struggled. 47-7 against, I think it was Southeast Missouri State or something like that. They got bodied, but it's okay. Second year of new coaching staff. They're going to be all right. They can put the pieces together, get back in the win column next week. They're just playing all Sunday games the next few weeks, which is really like just weird. I hate that. But anyway, put it on TV and they got to bounce back. But we're 0-1 here in Eastern Illinois.
Man, I want to see it. I want to see these games televised because folks will watch it. I watched a couple of these on ESPN Plus. I watched a few on some of these schools have their own respective broadcast networks that go through the school that students do. And so I watched some of those just to catch these games. I put some money down, some Monopoly money on a couple of these too, like Eastern Washington, that I really thoroughly enjoyed watching some of these games. Putting Monopoly money on football is a different animal, and it felt good to be able to do that. And I'll tell you, man, my McNeese State Cowboys, my dark horse, oh baby, Cody Orgeron. Is that name familiar to you?
Sounds about right. Does he have a big raspy voice and likes to eat gumbo for breakfast?
Oh, yeah. He has a dad that does both of those things. Cody Orgeron is the starting quarterback at McNeese State. So, one could assume that him being my starting QB, that things would be going really hot. And they're not. Incarnate Word 48, McNeese State 20. Incarnate Word is actually Grayson's team, who will come on the show. Grayson will be on the show at 12:30 today, so we'll get to break down how his Incarnate Word boys did today. Tough break for McNeese State. On the other end of things, though, Southeast Louisiana taking on Sam Houston State. Sam Houston 7-point favorites in this game. What do they say about great teams?
Great teams cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
That's right. Steamboat Kelly. All right. Cole Kelly is the quarterback at Southeast Louisiana. Cole Kelly was the starting quarterback at the University of Arkansas back when they were terrible under Chad Morris, like booty. He's like 6'8", 250. The dude's like a mountain of a man. Like, run over you, Steamboat Kelly. That's why they call him Steamboat. He threw for 462 yards and 4 touchdowns against Sam Houston State on Saturday. Alma mater of Brian Bell, Sam Houston State. Well, Eric Schmid, the Sam Houston quarterback, threw for 428 and 2 tutties. They won 43-38. Both of my teams lost this week. 0-2. Tough way to start.
Let's see, why is that not on TV? Two quarterbacks are throwing for like 400 plus. Like, I would literally stop everything I was doing and just watch that. Like, that would be a great way to spend a Sunday or a Saturday. And it is a crime. It is criminal. That is not on television.
Criminal. Armstrong, how did your boys do if you're out there in the void?
The Tribe did not play. They don't play until
really
this week.
I think like March, right? Or
they'll play their first game
April?
this week.
Okay.
This week against Richmond, against the Spiders.
Oh, Richmond?
Yeah.
So
alma mater of Lil Dicky.
Really? Lil Dicky?
Yeah. Allegedly.
Wow, Lil Dicky's a genius.
The most random thing.
Lil Dicky's a genius. Armstrong?
Yes.
I'm trying. Oh, James Madison. How'd James Madison do?
I don't care because I don't care about them. You know, y'all know I'm a Tribe fan for life, right? Y'all know I'm Tribe for life, right?
Where even is the Tribe?
In William and Mary.
Is that a town?
Wait, there was a tweet that you put out, Armstrong, during the draft that said, quote, Dukes or I'm out.
I think you misread that. I think you misread that.
You put it on the screen and said...
William and Mary is in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Really?
Yeah.
Could have fooled me.
38% acceptance rate. Man, this is an elite school, guys.
Prestigious. Not very good at football, but prestigious nonetheless.
6,000 undergrad.
Oh my.
Hey.
Nobody gets in.
Nobody gets in. I guess some people got to get in so they can get a few out, but geez, Armstrong.
Only the mediocre football players can make it into William and Mary.
Hey. Whoa. That's my Tribe you're talking about.
And they've got a game this weekend. Hey, Armstrong, it's Tuesday. You know what that means?
I don't want to say it.
JD, it's Tuesday. You know what that means?
No, I don't know what it means.
I know what it means. We're playing Dead or Alive today. Not quite yet, but Dead or Alive is on the docket.
Yeah.
And there are 9 names, 9 people that are in Armstrong's extended family that are ready to be feasted upon today in Dead or Alive.
It really is the darkest day of the week. It's the darkest day of the week, and there's no coincidence that it falls on Tuesday. Tough Tuesday.
Personally,
Tribe Tuesday.
I personally love it.
Hey,
today,
did you know William and Mary is the second oldest institution of higher education in the U.S.?
Really? What's first?
Harvard. Harvard's first. Harvard's first, but William and Mary is the second oldest, and it was founded in 1693.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
They've been losing football games.
That founded it.
Who?
A mom and a son.
It was a mom and a son?
Did you know that? Yeah.
King William and Queen Mary.
I made that up.
I think it was King William III and Queen Mary II. Is that
true?
That's what it says.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go, Armstrong. They've been bad at football for the second longest time of anybody else in America.
That's why I love the Tribe.
That's the second news we've broken on this show. I guess we just break it on Wikipedia.
Who founded William and Mary? All right.
Anyway.
Wicco.
How about this, guys? ESPN released their list of the top 60 quarterbacks of the last 2 decades. We're going to take a couple minutes to break this down. Where did you expect JD RG3 to fall in this?
That's a great question, because I think you start to think about all the great quarterbacks of the last 10, or I guess 20 years now. And there's quite a few that you probably named before RG3.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, he's a Heisman winner. So I've got to put him automatically in the top, I'm assuming 15 quarterbacks have won it since 2000. Or probably more than that.
I bet it's 16.
Probably top 15. Yeah, top 15. So I was pleasantly surprised because I think a lot of it too. I was assuming they would give quite a bit of weight to like national championship or how that team did that season. Like I was assuming it would go kind of like the Heisman Trophy. Like if you played well and your team did well, you get a higher seeding. So I was glad to see that wasn't the case.
I was wholly prepared for RG3 to be at like 28. You know, it just seems like it would be that ESPN would throw RG3 at 28. I was very shocked, very, very shocked to see Vince Young as high as he was. I think you've got a good point that maybe ESPN put a little bit of emphasis on national championships. Because listen to this. Vince Young from 2003 to 2005 only threw for 6,040 yards, 44 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. You know?
A lot of picks. It's a lot of picks.
That's a lot of picks. That's a lot of it. Now, RG3 finished his college career with 10,366 passing yards, 78 touchdowns, 17 interceptions compared to the 28 from Vince Young, and 2,254 rushing yards, 33 rushing touchdowns, bro. His stats are not real. That's not real. Like, human beings aren't supposed to be able to do that in the realm of college football.
Absolute video game. I mean, he was a freak. I'm glad that he got his due on this list because what he did at Baylor, that I guess it was really 2 seasons, but that especially that Heisman season, like he effectively built Baylor. What Baylor is today is because of what RG3 did during that Heisman Trophy season. Like he is one of the founding fathers of Baylor. Like it's Judge Baylor and RG3. And I mean, he was unbelievable in that one season. So I'm glad that he got his due. In terms of ultimate snub for this list, where's Nick Florence? Like, why is Nick Florence not on this list? Am I missing something as to why?
You mean Bryce Petty? I'd put Bryce Petty in there before Nick Florence. Would you not?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Florence, in terms of individual seasons, had a better statistical season than RG3 did. Like or a career, he broke a lot of RG3's records. And I think we just forget about Nick Florence because he was the guy after RG3. But yeah, I'm with you, Petty too. Like there should be 3 Baylor quarterbacks on this list.
I put Petty over Nick Florence. Kevin Kolb at 60, Andy Dalton 59, Zach Wilson 58. You know, I think you got a case there. Zach Wilson at 58 kind of makes me think, all right. Where's Bryce Petty? Where's Nick Florence? Right. Matt Barkley falling in at 57. That's one of the first players I remember watching, like getting to watch multiple, a lot of his career. I didn't realize. I mean, he threw 48 interceptions. I realized he threw 48 interceptions in his career.
He had one really bad season. I think his senior year, he threw like 20, which was bad deal. I was living in Southern California at the time, so I was just like Matt Barkley ultra fan, and the senior season was a bummer. But I mean, he had a great first 3 years. Started 4 years for one of the best programs in the country, but no, I'm with you. I'm a little surprised that he was where he was on this list, but he was fun to watch for a minute there.
I came in here expecting.
I'm with you. I wish he got a little more due on that front, or not a little more due. In terms of like this list, I'm trying to like put together how and why they put different guys, because it's some guys you look at, you're like, okay, they had a really good like career, right? Like Kellen Moore had a great career, and then you see Joe Burrow, who had arguably one of the best seasons of all time. But whereas Joe Burrow's like 1, 2, like he's like 6 or 7 on this list. Like he was ahead of RG3. It's like Joe Burrow was amazing for one season, but the guy had one good season. Outside of that, like, I mean, I guess they won the Fiesta Bowl against UCF, but not because of Joe Burrow, not because Joe Burrow was amazing. Like, I'm very curious, like, what was the criteria that Bill Connolly used when he made this list?
I don't know, but I love going through like Colin Klein, Landry Jones, the names that pop up that are like kind of recent, but also you forget about them a little bit. And then you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that guy. Aaron Murray at Georgia, who was I loved watching Aaron Murray play football. There are a lot of names on this list. You're like, flip, yeah, man, I remember that guy. I mean, Graham Harrell, the memories he brings back at Texas Tech. Yeah. That dude was unbelievable.
Him and Crabtree, man, the game winner to beat Texas on the last second. Also, some of these guys I didn't even realize like played in the 2000s, like Byron Leftwich.
Yeah,
was he was before too? Like I didn't realize that. Or Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
Like, A lot of it was a history lesson for me too, truthfully.
Ben Roethlisberger's at 26 in this list. 10,000 passing yards, 84 touchdowns, 34 interceptions, 7 rushing touchdowns. That's more than I thought he would have.
I'm glad they kept it to just college too. Like they didn't take into account NFL career. Otherwise, otherwise it's a much different list. Like Russell Wilson is what, like 23 on this list. Like he'd definitely be ahead of Jameis Winston if we're talking about, professional career. How about number 1 though? We didn't even talk about number 1. Baker Mayfield.
The Big 12, baby. Baker Mayfield.
Do you have any issue with that? The top 5 is Baker, Cam, Vince Young, Tebow, Burrow, and then Deshaun Watson. That's 5. Are you cool with that list?
The first, I think, summing it up, as I'm looking at the top 10 right here, you get all the way down to Baker Mayfield. There is not another quarterback in the top 10 that threw for more than 1,500 yards or 10,500 yards. And Baker Mayfield threw for 14,607, 131 touchdowns, 1,000 rushing yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns. Newton, Young, and Burrow had the best seasons. Mayfield had the best career. His stats are unbelievable. And he's a walk-on.
Was there a better player than Tim? Like in all of college football, I think a guy that's on this list that you'll hear talked about is one of the best players ever, like running backs, quarterbacks, defensive backs, all those things. Dude, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, in my mind, had the greatest college career of anybody. So I was surprised that Mayfield. I mean, where's Mayfield's national championship? I know. That's not really the conversation, but that's got to be worth something as a starting quarterback, right?
Where's Tebow?
Tebow is like, what, 5?
Oh, 4? 4. Yeah, Tebow at 4? Wow.
Yeah, look. Like one good year.
88 touchdowns for Tebow. 88 touchdowns, 9,000 passing yards. That's where he makes his bed. 57 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
3,000 rushing yards. But Baker Mayfield, man, 1,000 rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns, 131 passing touchdowns. That is nuts. Yeah. 15,000 yards.
That's for sure, yeah. Because that was when the Big 12 was playing progressively more defense, but still not a lot of defense. And so you're seeing these quarterbacks I'm still surprised Mahomes isn't getting more love on this list, but Baker Mayfield's stats were he's padding those bad boys in third and fourth quarter. I think there was one game with him and Mahomes going toe to toe, and it was like 600 yards of total offense apiece. It was ridiculous. It was probably more than that. It was ridiculous. How is Johnny Manziel not in the top 10? Someone explain that to me. Johnny Manziel's not even in the top 10 for this list. Is he in your top 10?
Let me find him. Based on these stats, probably not. He's 13. Oddly enough, based on stats, now that I read the stats, it's I could see him not being top 10. Oddly enough, I thought his stats were circus-like, but in the end, they're really not as great as I thought they'd be.
Lamar Jackson, is he about where you thought he'd be on this list? He's what, 7, 9, or 8?
Yeah, I thought he'd be maybe a little bit lower just because he played at Louisville. But I guess they made their way in the ACC. So, all right, I'll tell you what, we got to SicEm Pick 'em here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to SicEm Pick 'em it, and then we're going to play a little bit of Dead or Alive. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We'll be right back on Up Tempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight but finished strong to fend off Marquette 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse downed North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3 Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back into Up Tempo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Super Tuesday today. I'm Drake Toll. J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims is out there. All right, boys. It is maybe the biggest day in college basketball that we've had in a while. You like the slate today or what?
I like it. I'm looking it over. I like a lot of these games with some of the smaller teams, but even some of the big dogs got some exciting games. Like Wake Forest, Pitt, Duke, Georgia Tech. Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna get into it here. We're gonna make some money.
The big dogs are playing today. Number 3 Baylor at number 6 West Virginia highlights the day at 4 p.m. And when you think you would think it's the biggest matchup in the country today. It's 2 top 6 teams. They're playing the underdog. I say the underdog. Yeah, the underdog's playing at home. Then you would be surprised that that's not at all the case, because number 4 Illinois is playing at number 2 Michigan. What say you in this one?
With Baylor, West Virginia, or Illinois and Michigan?
Give me both.
So I'm looking at these games, and we talked about it. Like, why is Baylor 4.5-point favorites, right? Like, that makes no sense. This is one of those games you're like, why? Like, what do you know that I don't know? And so because of that, I feel inclined. I'm not going to touch it. I feel inclined to go Baylor minus 4.5 because I think Vegas and the people that know a lot more than me know something. So given that, I like Baylor minus 4.5. In this game, Michigan minus 6.5. Illinois is not playing great right now. I think Michigan is I mean, we talked about yesterday, Michigan's hot. I like Michigan to cover that 6.5. That kind of feels like a lot of points to me, especially on this big a stage in this kind of spot. But I like Michigan, I think, to cover the 6.5. So that's the way I'm rolling. We're covering with both the favorites today.
Oh, my goodness. Ayo Dosunmu, the Illinois star that was supposed to be out until like the NCAA tournament because of his broken nose. Hello?
He's back.
He's back tonight. He's been fitted for a mask. And I can't confirm that. That is on the Twitter sphere by somebody confirming it through Barstool with 208,000 followers. So I would assume they have some reference to post that. So if that's the case, if Ayo Dosunmu is back tonight, I love, and Simon at Shot Quality loves hammering Illinois plus 6.5.
Interesting. I truthfully don't know much about Dosunmu, but that mask sounds like it's going to be a big deal, huh? That's going to change, you think, the complexion of this thing?
He's their best player.
Do we have a blue check verification on that source? Or we just got they're reputable? A lot of followers.
They're reputable. Yeah. I feel like we can follow it. We can go along with it. Shot Quality bets today have Xavier at minus 2.5. That game's at Georgetown tonight. Xavier is 13-5 this year. Georgetown is 8-11. Georgetown, the Georgetown Hoyas. Xavier's last game, they beat Creighton at home. Georgetown's had a couple of good ones in the last few. They've won 3 out of the last 4, including home wins against Butler and Seton Hall and DePaul. Or Butler and Seton Hall at home. They won at DePaul, but Xavier minus 2.5 is that's the pick today. That's the number 1 pick.
Do we have any data on Shot Quality's picks for the whole season against the spread? Do we know what he's shooting percentage-wise?
His percentage is stupid. It's stupid
really?
Good.
Okay. I think I'm going to tail him then. I'm going to follow his picks.
99-72 so far. He's 99-72.
Okay.
So 100%. 100%. He's also got Indiana plus 3 tonight. Indiana in a Big 12 bout against Michigan State on the road. Mind you, when Michigan State and Indiana played in Indiana, Michigan State got the dub. But Simon likes IU plus 3 on the road against MSU.
I can't figure out Michigan State. I can't figure them out. They were awful to start the year. The last 2 games they've played pretty well. I still think I'll roll with Indiana, but Michigan State, they just make me nervous. Are they picking up on the blue blood trend of let's play well at the end of the year just to save our brand? But I like Indiana in that spot. I'm with Shot Quality on that one. How about that?
Yeah, they were
just taking the heart out of it.
Yeah. Michigan State was playing really well until they hit Maryland, and they got dropped by Maryland. Michigan State beat Ohio State. They had a case to go to the NCAA tournament, and they have just pretty much thrown that out the window. Also in Shot Quality, Mississippi, Ole Miss minus 3 tonight at home against Kentucky. And man, if I have ever loved a pick, I love that one.
He likes Mississippi to cover, huh?
He likes Ole Miss to cover. Ole Miss just lost at Vanderbilt. They lost at home to Mississippi State by 10, but they won for some stupid reason at Missouri. They're one of the most inconsistent teams in the country, but Ole Miss 8-8 in conference, Kentucky 7-8 in conference. No NCAA tournament for KU or for UK. If Simon's doing it, I'm doing it.
I think that should be it's going to be Shot Quality Pick'em. Is the new name.
It basically is
for today. Because I'm tailing that too. If he says they're going to play well, they're going to play well. But I was watching Ole Miss earlier this year. That guy Schuler's a baller. He is fun to watch. Devontae Schuler. 40% from the field, 78% from the line. I'm trying to find his points per game average, but guy's a baller. He's fun to watch. One of the best in the country. Doesn't get enough credit.
Xavier coming in tonight.
Woo pig. Oh, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, I like the Hogs tonight for sure. Simon likes the Hogs tonight at -6.5.
We'll roll with them then. It's Hogs. South Carolina's scrappy, but I like the Hogs. Only it's Grizzlies on the road. Does that make you nervous?
Yes, very much so. I think South Carolina is not a crazy money line pick tonight. Honestly, this is the game that Arkansas would lose, without a doubt.
Really?
Growing up a Hog fan, this is the one that Arkansas would lose. Simon has Baylor 78, West Virginia 71 tonight.
That makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good about Baylor's chances then, because the guy takes all the I always say this, like with Monopoly money. My heart is just never right. My heart tells me a lot of things that's never right. Like the numbers are my friends in these things. Not always, but most of the time. More often than not. And so for Simon to break down the numbers and to help us understand, that makes me feel good about Baylor tonight.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I don't know if they cover, but I think they do win.
Last couple here. What else you got before we get into the dead or alive?
Dude, Duke at Georgia Tech. I still can't figure out these trends, but I do think Duke beats Georgia Tech. I like Duke money line. I don't
really.
I like a money line. I think Duke, with so much to play for down the stretch, I think they get it done.
All right.
I should say so much to play for. The way they've been playing down the stretch has been encouraging. So I like Duke.
Anything else you got?
That's probably it for me. I mean, Vanderbilt plus 14 against LSU. LSU is good. Are they 14 good? I don't know. That's probably the wide side. Memphis -9 at South Florida looks appealing. Memphis is pretty good against the spread, or at least they're average against the spread. In conference, South Florida is pretty atrocious from what I remember. So those would be like the three I'm kind of eyeing. Probably do a little more research before I really make any trigger moves, but those are the ones that I'm like, okay. I can see that happening, you know?
And then Texas Tech and... Oh, no, I'm looking. I got too far ahead of myself. My last one that I'll throw out there, a little bone for the folks at home, Wisconsin money line at Purdue tonight. Wisconsin's playing better. I like them tonight. Give me Wisconsin. Give me Wisconsin. All right, dead or alive today. Armstrong, are you with us?
I am with us.
Yes, he is. He is among us. He is among us. Dead or alive, Beverly Cleary, author of Ramona and Beezus, released in 1950.
Alive.
Dead.
She is 104 years old today and very alive.
Wow.
Beverly Cleary. Yep.
You nailed it, JD.
104. Beverly Cleary, 104 today. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Let's go. Good for her.
Ed Asner. He played Santa Claus in the movie Elf. Dead or alive?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Dead.
He's alive at the age of 92 today. Alive at 92. Lou Reed. He sang the song Eastbound and Down. He was the head coach in the movie Waterboy of Louisiana University.
Ooh, I think he's dead.
Dead.
He is dead. He would have been 79 today. Lou Reed. Jerry Lee Lewis, singer of Stand By Me. And Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire.
Stand By Me is the one you pulled out for Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Alive.
He's 85. He's alive today. He's watching the show right now. He is watching the show right now, 85.
Heck yeah, Jerry.
Bobby Darin, singer of Dream Lover. Dream Lover, where are you? Doo-wop singer.
Anyone who sings doo-wop has got to be dead, right? That's my play.
Armstrong?
I'm going to go very dead. Is that the guy who sang Beyond the Sea?
Yes. Wow. Armstrong. He is dead. He died at 30. He died at 37.
No.
During open heart surgery. Yeah. What a way to go.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. Sorry to the Darin family. I know. Still fresh. Sorry to the Darin family.
That's sad.
Great song, though.
Mikhail Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Dead or alive?
Ooh.
I'm going to say he's alive.
JD?
Yeah, I was going to say alive too, but I'll say dead. I think we're tied, aren't we, Armstrong? I'll say dead.
The final prime minister of the USSR is alive, and it's his birthday today. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Celebrity birthday.
Pickell Gorbachev, 90.
I refuse to celebrate.
Al Davis, owner of the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis.
Yeah, I know this one, Armstrong. You go ahead.
I think he is. I'm going to think he's alive because there was just a 30 for 30 that came out about him.
Yeah. JD?
He's dead. He's dead. It was like some hologram technology they used because that was wild. Yeah.
Yep.
That was weird, though. That was
dead at
weird.
92. Dead at 92. How about Doak Walker? The namesake of the Doak Walker Running Back Award. Running Back of the Year in college football.
Yeah, Doak Walker. He's
from
dead,
I think.
From my hometown. Went to my high school.
Really?
Played SMU.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. He's very dead.
He is. He would have been 94 today. And then Vera Wang, fashion designer Vera Wang, dead or alive on this Tuesday?
I think she's dead. I thought I remember hearing she's dead, but I'm not sure.
You heard something about this lady.
You remember?
I have no clue. I'm going to say she's alive.
Stuff?
Vera Wang. Wait, everybody wave at her. Everybody wave at Vera Wang.
Because she's alive.
There. She's 71 years old today, watching the show. Shout out to Vera Wang. But I think the highlight of the day for Dead or Alive is that Pickell Gorbachev is alive, and it's his birthday. 90 years old. Gosh dang, what a character.
Did they get this in Russia? Do we know?
Yeah. I don't even know if he still lives there.
Idea.
I bet he's excommunicated. I'm Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell. Nope, just snow. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims. When we come back, Morgan Uber, Big 12 digital correspondent, joins us. This is Uptempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight, but finished strong to fend off Marquette, 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler, 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse down North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3 Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den remote location today. Happy Super Tuesday, everybody. Breaking things down across college athletics today and in the Big 12 as Baylor men's basketball plays this afternoon at 4 p.m. In to help us break it down, Morgan Uber. Morgan, can you hear me okay?
Drake, I got you. Happy March. Happy to be here.
Happy March. I would be remiss before we start breaking down college basketball if I didn't ask you how your gig this weekend went working tennis, or not tennis, swimming.
Yeah, it was great. I was down in Austin for the swimming portion of our Big 12 Swimming and Diving Championship. So to be honest with you and a lot of our listeners, I had to watch a lot of these men's basketball games on replay or just catch highlights. So unfortunately, I wasn't posted up on my couch like I normally am on Saturdays, but it was great to be back out on a campus. It was my first time traveling in 350 days for an event. So just really happy to be back out there, and certainly got a big travel next week as well to Kansas City. So really excited to talk about that with you, but still have a full another week to go of hoops.
Oh, Morgan, and we couldn't get any bigger tonight. Super Tuesday has never been more super than 2 top 6 matchups with Michigan and Illinois, and then one coming in the Big 12 tonight in Baylor and West Virginia. But before we get there, that's just a little teaser where we're going. Before we get there, you got Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Bedlam times 2 in the span of 3 days, and it didn't disappoint.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we need more of those back-to-back matchups, especially in rivalry games like we got to see with Bedlam. It doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the records, as I've said before. Anytime you get Oklahoma up against Oklahoma State, it's going to be a heck of a battle. What was most impressive to me and what stood out, was just the difference in the way that Oklahoma State won both of those games. On Saturday, Cade Cunningham put on just a masterful performance, best performance that we've seen arguably in the Big 12 this season of any player, 40 points up against the Sooners. And then on Monday, 48 hours later, it was really a team performance by committee. Really everyone stepping up and getting it done for the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, man, they are hot at the right time, headed into March. They've won 5 of their last games and, certainly have a big challenge going up against Baylor on Thursday. But I really do think they are the most improved team. It's crazy to think just a couple weeks ago, there they were battling for the 6th or 7th spot in a seed for the Big 12 championship. But, who knows where they're going to finish really at this point if they keep up with the rate that they're going.
And then how about Oklahoma? I have been very surprised. Lon Kruger's squad was as hot as anybody, not just in the Big 12, but in the country recently. I know we're working through some video issues here, but how about I don't want to say drop off necessarily, but their struggles recently. Oklahoma now losing to Oklahoma State twice, and Kansas State of all teams. Where does that put the Sooners?
Who would have thought, really, they were one of the hottest teams in the entire country when they were able to beat Alabama, who was ranked number 9 at that point in the country, without their best player, Austin Reeves. And the rate that Oklahoma was going, we thought maybe they could be the second best team in this conference behind Baylor when everything was said and done heading into the conference tournament. I do think for Oklahoma, they've just been, it's uncharacteristic things that they're doing. We've seen them be a little bit sloppy with the basketball. They're missing, routine layups that we've seen them make all season, routine plays that we've seen them make all season. I guess, if you have to look and turn things in a positive light, Brady Manick, he's really getting back to form. Last night, he had 16 points in the first half, had 20 points to finish that game. And, just the way that he's responded, bouncing back from COVID, the first 5 games for him after his COVID spell, he was coming off the bench, and now he's really an impact player again for this team. I think for Oklahoma, they're right there in the thick of it. They have really risen to the occasion. Back in early January, they were the first 4 out in Joe Lunardi's bracketology, and now they're potentially, I think they're sitting right around a 4 seed, 5 seed, depending on how they can turn things around here at the end of the season. But I don't think it's not long-term issues that they're facing. They just got to clean up a couple things, and I do still think they're a dark horse Final Four team. So don't count the Sooners and Lon Kruger's crew out.
Certainly senior laden, and I think we're getting a good example, a good taste of the teams that are getting hot at the right times, like your Oklahoma States and your Kansas, for example. And then the teams that are limping a little bit right now, and Baylor falls into that category. Morgan, this is the first time we have talked, I think, since we started the segment, that Baylor has really struggled like they are right now. What did you see on Saturday? Let's start there.
Yeah, so like I mentioned off the top of the show, I actually was at our swimming and diving championship, so I didn't get to watch that game live. Normally, you would have seen me live tweeting that game. I would have been, all in, but I actually had to watch it on Sunday as a replay. So obviously, I'd heard about everything then. But, just my big takeaways, similar to what I said about Oklahoma. I mean, these are just uncharacteristic things that we've seen from Baylor, but you can't blame them. It came out that 8 of the 12 players actually had COVID, and, the effect that it has, and mentally, physically, they just don't look like they're in the physical shape that they were before this COVID pause. I mean, 19 days off, that's going to show. I heard Jeff Goodman from Stadium talking about it yesterday. He said it's almost like a 1-for-1. So every day that a player misses due to COVID, it's, equivalent day to get back. So them missing 19 days, it really could on average take 19 days for Baylor to get back to that team that we were used to seeing before the COVID pause, how they looked against Texas back on February 2nd. The mind-blowing thing to me is, they've been really struggling from the 3, but somehow they're still number 1 in the country in 3-point field goal percentage. In those last 2 games, they've shot just 28% from the perimeter. So I think they've really got to establish that. But it's their defensive identity, too, that's made them the number 2 team in the country the entire season. They don't look the same sort of connectedness on defense that we've seen, the swarming to the ball, the aggressiveness. It's just not there. And I don't think it's not that they're not trying. I mean, certainly they're out there fighting, but I just, it's the physicality standpoint that COVID really took on this Baylor program.
And Morgan, I am kind of in a situation where I don't necessarily see Baylor knocking off West Virginia tonight in Morgantown. There have been a lot of teams that have played West Virginia close on the road, but West Virginia looks really, really solid right now. Winners of 8 out of the last 10. I think it's now 6 out of their last 7. And Baylor just looks like they're limping a little bit. What do you expect to see in this afternoon's game?
Yeah, I think you said it exactly right. And Baylor fans probably aren't going to be too happy to hear, because 1 is the magic number for Baylor to win their first ever Big 12 regular season championship. But I really don't think it's going to come in Morgantown. West Virginia, they have the top rebounder in the Big 12 in Derek Culver. Again, thinking back to the game last year, Baylor and West Virginia, the Mountaineers, they're dominant on the boards. They're number 1 in the Big 12 in offensive rebounding, and they take advantage of the second chance opportunities. Baylor, that's what they struggled with against Kansas on the board. So, I think this is going to be a huge challenge for Baylor. To be honest, I don't see them coming out with a victory in Morgantown, because this West Virginia team, you got to give Bob Huggins and his team a lot of credit for the way that they've completely adapted and shifted gears. I do truly think, they could be the best team in the Big 12 right now at this very moment. I think Baylor has the opportunity to get back there and be that number 1 team. But at this point right now, I think West Virginia could be that team. They have 4 players on any given night who can lead the team in scoring. They have their 3 guards in Miles McBride, Taz Sherman, and Sean McNeil, and then, of course, Derek Culver. And over the last 4 games, each of those guys, it's been a different guy that's led the team in scoring. So it's not like you can just guard one or 2 guys really there. They can effectively come at you in a lot of different ways. So I hate to say it, Baylor fans, but you might have to wait another game or 2 in order to get that Big 12 championship.
I mean, it is not fun to say, but I think it's a reality that we're all kind of living with right now. But looking across the conference, we'll get back to Baylor here in a second, talking the Thursday night game. But Texas, Iowa State, TCU, Texas Tech, both of those games are pretty predictable. They should be anyway. What are you seeing with those 2 tonight?
I think for Texas, they're just looking to get back to some sort of consistency. This is another, Final Four dark horse team that has the potential to, we've talked about so much in a year of COVID that the veteran experienced teams are going to be the ones to make runs. And so looking at, an Oklahoma State, that's a very young team. It was, shocking, honestly, to me for them to sweep that Bedlam series. But, back to Texas, they have the pieces to do it. They have the length and athleticism down low. They have that triple-headed 3 monster, with their guards that are the veteran leaders on this team. And, the Andrew Jones-Courtney Ramey confrontation that we saw, I think was, a big breakdown for them, and hopefully they've moved past that, and hopefully it was a really good learning and teaching moment for those guys as well, because right now down the stretch and next week, these games, they're one and done, so they can't let an opportunity in a moment like that completely deter them from winning a game. So I think, Texas really needs a win. Like you said, it's, likely going to go in their favor tonight. I think, sorry, what was the other matchup you asked about, Drake?
So it's the other one tonight, and it kind of finished off Tuesday's slate between TCU and Texas Tech in Lubbock.
Yeah, so again, another team that it's mind-blowing to me to think that Texas Tech right now is the 7th best team in the Big 12. I think teams have really figured out a way to defend Mac McClung, and you look across what they've done this season. McClung, he's really carried this team. I think they have to establish a little bit more depth, get Kyler Edwards, Kevin McCullough, those guys more involved in their offensive game plan. Lately McClung has just not been able to carry his team, but they did have a very big game on Saturday and were able to defeat Texas. So I think if they can carry that momentum forward, there's a very, very good chance they could finish out the season strong. And of course, they have another big game later on in the week against the Baylor Bears.
And then, oddly enough, you go from a huge slate on Tuesday. I say huge. You've got Baylor, West Virginia, which is maybe the biggest game that's taken place in conference so far. No games on Wednesday, and you come right back to it Thursday. Texas, Oklahoma in Norman, a huge matchup to build momentum for both of those teams. Do you see any separation between these squads right now?
So, like we've said, these are 2 of the senior veteran-laden teams. To be honest, I think they're about as evenly matched as they come. Right now, though, I think I would have to give the edge with the downward spiral that we've seen a little bit from the Sooners, I would have to give the edge to Texas. But, certainly I think these are both teams that are really needing a victory heading into the Big 12 championship, heading into the Big 12 tournament. From what we saw from both of these teams, I think it's really crazy to think that we have potentially 6 Final Four dark horse teams, 7 total Final Four potential teams, one of them not being a dark horse, one obviously being Baylor, but really 6 other teams that have the opportunity to make a run in the Final Four. And I think Oklahoma and Texas both have the capability of doing that, and they've showed spurts of that during this season. It's a matter of being hot at the right time. So if they can just get back to those moments that they had, and it was, the balance for Oklahoma, they need Austin Reeves, and for Texas, they really need, all 3 of those guards coming out on fire.
And then, Morgan, the other Thursday game, the one that everybody's looking at here in Waco, Oklahoma State at Baylor, red hot. Oklahoma State and Baylor, who may walk into that one losers of.
You would think that the easy answer would be keep the ball away from Cade Cunningham. But get this, Drake, when Oklahoma State, they're 12-1 when Cade Cunningham takes 13 shots or less. So really, his biggest strength is distributing the ball. It's his vision. So, they can win when, he doesn't score 40 points or 30 plus. There's no weaknesses in his game. So he's a really dangerous player. They can't just completely hone in on him. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of double teams, but I think that stat is just so interesting and just paints the perspective of what Cunningham has the capability to do. It's no question he's the number 1 pick in this NBA draft. He's shown it the past, 2 games really, but really over this 5-game stretch. He has a unique ability of just being able to turn it on in the second half. He, I think has gotten a lot of criticism for not coming out and having, a solid 40 minutes of basketball. Didn't see his first basket until the 7:20 mark of the second half against Oklahoma last night. But, what matters is down the stretch, delivering down the stretch, and he's been able to do that. So I think this is a huge challenge for Baylor. They have, really 3 tough games left on their schedule in front of them. I do think, really it could go either way, but for as hot as Oklahoma State is right now, I would honestly, it's in their favor right now. I think the Bears are really going to have to get back to their defensive identity, get connected, swarm the ball, show their physical and aggressiveness, especially on that end of the floor, in order to beat the Cowboys on Thursday.
I definitely think if you're looking at trends, there's nothing Baylor's shown me, at least, that says, hey, they got a real shot to run the table and win out their next 3. And then we'll end here. Sunday's matchup, Texas Tech, Baylor in Waco. Is that where Baylor finally gets things done and clinches the conference championship?
It'd be pretty fitting, I think, for Baylor to end up pulling away with their first regular season championship there in Waco, final game of the season. None of us probably thought it would take this long to get this thing wrapped up for the Bears, but I do think that is probably their best chance and most likely of where Baylor's going to end up getting it done. You got to look back to when Texas Tech played Baylor last. It was before the COVID pause in mid-January, and that was the closest that any team had played Baylor all season. Baylor only won that game by 8 points. So, again, they were able to hold Jared Butler in check. He had just, I believe, 5 points in that game, but Mac McClung ended up going off. But it was the Baylor bench, which we've seen them do all season. They put up 26 points in that game and 5 just for the Texas Tech bench. So we need some big points from Jonathan Chama-Chachua, Adam Flagler, Matthew Meyer. All those guys have got to contribute in order for Baylor to pull away with a win on Sunday, because, we've seen Texas Tech limit Jared Butler before earlier this season. So it's going to take a full team effort, but I think the Baylor Bears, I think they can get it done.
All right, Morgan, before we let you get out of here, I got we've been playing a little buy or sell the last couple of days on the show, and it's ended up going pretty interesting with a couple of analysts. And I want to get your thoughts. Buy or sell 6 Big 12 teams in the Sweet 16?
Ooh. I'm all for it. Why not? Like we've said, I do think all these teams, there's really teams that could make it all the way to the Elite Eight and Final Four. So yeah, I'm buying.
Buy or sell 4 Big 12 teams in the Elite Eight?
Why not? I mean, I'm a Big 12 homer. Why not? I do think, for me right now, if I had to pick 4 that I think could make it, I would give it to Baylor. I think obviously Oklahoma State, I think right now has the potential to get there. I really do think the Sooners are going to get back into playing their best basketball. And then, of course, West Virginia. I think West Virginia could go deep. I think they could be, a Final Four or potentially even a national championship team, Drake.
Buy or sell Kansas to the Elite Eight?
I didn't even mention Kansas there. Goodness. I'm buying it right now. I mean, they've shown that their defense, they're number 1 right now in the Big 12 in defense, and they've got it right. And it's because Marcus Garrett isn't being asked to do everything, right? They finally, the whole team is playing in check, and forward David McCormick is playing some of his best basketball. So I'm buying it.
And buy or sell 2 Big 12 teams in the Final Four?
Oof. Gosh, I mean, I would love that. I would certainly love it, but I'll be honest, I don't think, I'm not sure it's going to happen. I think Gonzaga's a lock. I guess I'll go with Baylor. I really do think if there's one other team that makes it, it'd be West Virginia in the Final Four in my mind, but I'm selling. I don't think it's going to end up working out that way, although I would love it to.
All right, Morgan Hooper, I'm going to spare you of our Bear games today because since we've gone remote, we've turned those off, just like my internet connection is turned off today. So I'm glad my audio is going through, at least. I mean, I guess that works out somewhat. But thanks again for joining us as always and breaking down things across the Big 12.
Yeah, thanks so much, Drake. Next time I'm going to be talking to you guys, I'll be in Kansas City. So, really happy that we've made it this far, and here we go. It's Big 12 tournament time.
Bring it on. We're excited for it. Thanks again, Morgan.
All right, thanks.
All right, when we come back, Grayson Grundafer joins us for the big board. I'm going to go try to figure out how to get better internet connection. Maybe it'll happen. Grayson Grundafer up next. I'm Drake Toll. Armstrong Sims is somewhere out in the void, and this is Up Tempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight but finished strong to fend off Marquette 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse down North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3 Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back in the remote Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I am Choppy Video. Armstrong Sims is somewhere out there. And Grayson Grundafer is joining us for the big board today. Look at that. Look, you can't even see this. Look, I'm doing the wave. Nothing on your end. Nothing. How about that? All right, Grayson, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
Doing good. Just did the Bearcast this morning, and now I'm just ready to talk some more recruiting. It's been another good week, and some more news and notes always coming out as recruiting never stops.
Oh, Grayson, I would be remiss if I did not start with the big news that came out about a half hour ago. Ish Harris, 4-star receiver, announcing that Baylor has made his top 6. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair to call him a receiver, because the numbers that dude has put up at multiple positions, at running back, I think he was a 2,000-yard ball carrier this year at Pilot Point, really carried that offense. And then on the defensive side also did a lot of really, really good things. And I think at the next level, I think he's probably going to be a linebacker. I think that's where his frame is going to fit the best. And I think at Baylor, that's a perfect fit with Dave Aranda and company. And it's a good spot to be in. I will say, though, I posted this on the board because people were talking about him narrowing things down a little bit. I think Baylor, is inside his top 6, but I think there's a clear top 2. And I think right now it's A&M and Texas at the moment. So Baylor's got some ground to make up.
I am not going to lie. I'm not sure where I got receiver from that, but I thought I saw a receiver. I'm glad you clarified, though. So, yeah, Ish Harris, that announcement. Thanks for breaking that down a little bit. Now we'll get into the everyday. Obviously a big week last week with a couple of different commitments for Baylor. What's going on this week? Kind of the brief synopsis in recruiting to start.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we start with one of the big news of the day, honestly. It happened yesterday, but just big news just because Baylor hasn't put out a quarterback offer in a while. And they finally did. They put out an offer to a 2022 quarterback, Zach Pyron, out of Pinson Valley High School in Alabama. Very accomplished quarterback, 3 straight state championships in a row. I think he only has like 2 or 3 career losses. So very, very good player. He won 2 of his state championships at the 2A level and then won one this year at the 6A level. So he also moved up, which is great to see. And the Baylor staff really likes him. And I think that's the most important part. They decided to kind of make him their guy by offering him because they really have been waiting things out for the top 3 quarterbacks in the state, specifically Cade Klubnik out of Austin Westlake, but decided that, they want a 2022 quarterback and they're going to need to put out more offers, and Zach Pyron is the first guy to get that offer.
So with a guy like that, kind of where is he from an offer standpoint, and what are the odds that Baylor ends up landing him?
I think they're pretty high. I think he knows that this is a huge offer for him because Jeff Grimes and Sean Bell and those guys, they didn't come in and put out a whole bunch of offers. They re-offered the quarterbacks that, the high-end quarterbacks that they wanted to go after, but they didn't come in and offer a bunch of quarterbacks because they wanted to wait and find the right one. And so I think Zach knows that, and I think because of that, Baylor's in a pretty good spot. I could actually see him making a decision pretty soon here, and it really wouldn't surprise me, which would give Baylor a 2022 quarterback. And, adding a quarterback provides all kinds of momentum, even if it's not a guy in the state of Texas.
When it comes to 2022 with guys, quarterbacks in the state of Texas, where does Baylor sit right now? Is there any good news you can give me?
For quarterbacks or just in 2022 in general?
Quarterbacks. Okay.
So right now, it's pretty much, it's looking like Zach Pyron. There's really not a whole lot of great news because Cade Klubnik, so I guess I'll just kind of briefly go through this quick storyline that popped up over the last week. Ty Simpson, 5-star quarterback out of Tennessee, he committed to Alabama. The original thought was he was going to go to Clemson, and therefore they were going to be full of quarterback. Well, he committed to Alabama. The next day, Clemson offered Cade Klubnik out of Austin Westlake. So that's where the kind of trend is leading, that he's going to go to Clemson. A lot of rumors have been out there that he wants to stay in the state of Texas, but unless he goes to a 2-quarterback class, that's going to be really, tough because Texas A&M already have their guys. Baylor and TCU have been looking around for a bunch of other guys while Cade's trying to make his decision. So I'm just curious how that all unfolds, but that's the main news note. Obviously, Connor Weigman is already committed to A&M. Ohio State. So that's pretty much that for in-the-state quarterbacks. The only other one that I think is worth talking about currently is Nick Evers out of Flower Mound. He's kind of had a nice run of offers, and he was actually the guy that I thought Baylor would offer if they were going to offer a quarterback in the state, but they elected to go out of state.
With not just quarterbacks in state, but the rest of the realm of 2022, are there any highlights right now that you're seeing that have really jumped off to you specifically in that class within the state of Texas right now?
Yeah, so I think obviously I need to, just be sure that I mention, the offensive line class in this state is very, very good. And I think that for Baylor fans out there, this is a position that we continue to address and talk about because I think that, it's an area that Baylor obviously has to get better at. And I think in 2022, Baylor has a great opportunity to land some big-time offensive linemen who can come in and contribute and win them a lot of games on the offensive side of the football. So I think that's the first trend, and that there are a lot of out-of-state schools that are recognizing the kind of depth that the state has on the offensive line. So, for instance, Nicholas Hall, he's out of Austin Aikens High School. Mm-hmm. He was actually in Waco over the weekend, but the reason I bring him up is because people don't know this, but he's 6'5.5", 303 pounds. And this guy is so far off the radar to most people. His only offers are Oklahoma State, Baylor, Kentucky, and I think Akron. So my point by that is you're talking about a guy who's probably ranked the number, 25th offensive lineman in the state, according to most people. And he's going to be a stud. I mean, he's freakishly huge. And so just talking about that, I think just shows you the depth that there is in the state. Obviously, Baylor also has Colton Price, who's another guy in the state who has unique measurables as well. So I think that's a big trend that I'm looking at. And I think it's also worth noting, these out-of-state schools are recognizing it as well, that there's some hidden guys in the state. And I think you're going to see some out-of-state programs try to come in and find these guys early.
I saw that you had a couple of those guys in studio this weekend, got to talk to Nicholas and a few more. So give me a little recap from the recruiting weekend, those guys all being in Waco.
Yeah, it was a really, really good weekend. Really, really fun to see those guys come by the studio. Their families came, and they, obviously with the dead period going on, they couldn't go see the coaches, didn't really have a specific game plan, just wanted to come and take a tour of Baylor and look at campus and just kind of see what it was all about. And so 2 commits were there, Kelsey Johnson, Colton Price. Both of them seem very locked in their commitments as far as I can tell. Kelsey actually told me he came up on Tuesday and then also came up on Saturday. Get a full taste of Waco, basically trying to figure out what is going on there and what he likes and what he enjoys seeing. And I thought that was pretty cool. Colton, first time in Waco. So wow. Complete opposite end of the spectrum, and he had a great time getting to get a vibe for the city, and he's from a very small town in Bowie, so coming to Waco feels like a big city to him, which is really funny to think about. So yeah, those 2 guys were there, and they were committed. The other guys that were there, I think we'll start with the 3 2022 kids. So Gladewater, 4-star wide receiver DJ Allen. He made the drive, about a 3.5-hour drive to come to Waco and see Baylor for the first time. He was excited about it. He got to take a tour, got to see a lot of different things, the business school. You got to see, walk through pretty much all of campus, got to go to the bookstore, find himself some gear at the Baylor bookstore, and go see the Bears. And the Bears were out, I guess, during the day, which was nice to hear also. And so he had a great trip. And he's a guy who I think Baylor has made a priority for a long time. And because of that, they've put themselves in a good spot. Even though he's got tons of offers at this point, I think he's getting close to over 20. Baylor is right in the thick of things with DJ Allen, and that's one that Baylor fans should be very focused in on because he's a very talented playmaker, great with the ball in space, can make plays in the open field, and then also can actually go deep and play outside and go make contested catches as well. So very talented athlete there. And then the other 2 guys that made it in, Nick Hall, who we just talked about a little bit. I'm not kidding. I was shocked when I saw this kid because he was listed at 6'6", I think 280. And I saw him and I was like, man, this kid is just massive. And he was telling me he's up to 303, 304, and after 306. So very big kid, and I think he's only going to grow even more. So he was fun to see. He's one that Baylor got in on early, and that's very exciting. His dad did go to Kentucky, though, and so did his mom. So there's a little bit of a connection there, but still that's kind of far away. I think his mom would rather he stayed closer to Texas. And then finally, Tenaha, athlete, can play linebacker, could play the offensive side, but I think he's going to play linebacker as well. Jeremy Patton. Very good athlete, a guy that played running back, wide receiver, linebacker, safety, did it all at his high school, and he loves Baylor a whole lot. And he's a guy who I think I'm a little surprised he hasn't committed already, to be perfectly honest with you, but he wants to take his time a little bit more. Oklahoma State's been pushing a little bit. Auburn's been talking to him recently. I think he could add a few more offers. But at this point, I think Baylor's definitely in the lead there, and he's another one. Came to Baylor campus and get a feel for campus, and Baylor's off to a really good start with him.
So where, with this class, 2022, where are things currently sitting? Does this look good? Are you excited with what you're seeing so far? Or is this pretty much as expected and going, about as average and normal as it could be?
Yeah, I think that it's, I don't want to overhype what they've currently done, because I do think that there's more in the tank. And I think right now, you're seeing guys who are sleepers, who are adding offers, and guys who a lot of people didn't know about, and they're committing, like Cedric Roberts. No one knew who he was, and Baylor was able to land him, get him committed, and he's a very, very good athlete. But it's not a huge recruiting win, because Baylor didn't go out and beat somebody for him. They just got there first, which is great. And it's a great start. Now you got to hold on to him. But like I told you last week, I want to see Baylor go out and win battles. And eventually that will happen. But we also have to remember Baylor's playing with the ammo of 2 wins currently. And that's really tough to sell when you're trying to go up against some of the top programs in the state and the top programs in the country. So right now I think you're seeing them find those hidden gems, find guys who fit their system. And that way when the season does start, they're able to reach out a little bit and try to land maybe some of those higher profile guys a little bit later in the session. I will tell you though, Baylor's in a good spot with some high-end guys like a DJ Allen or like a Jared Kerr out of Lexington that could be real game changers in the class because of just their 4-star rating and just kind of the influence that they have in the Texas area.
Grayson, tell me, you mentioned a little bit Cedric Roberts. I know you got to talk about him on the afternoon show quite a bit. What does he bring to the table? A hidden gem is what I've seen him called. Walk me through Cedric Roberts and his commitment.
Yeah, so stock is rising with Cedric Roberts for sure. 6'4", 280. A guy who got the Baylor offer and immediately committed, had only talked to them for a few days. And it was James Blanchard who found him, reached out to him, and then obviously the rest of the staff was able to come in and kind of contribute to landing him. But the bigger thing was James Blanchard finding him was absolutely massive, and him committing on the spot was huge as well. You don't see that very often. So big kid, 6'4", 280, got great length, great wingspan, a guy who has that NFL body. And when you have an NFL body with NFL athleticism, all it takes is coaches to mold you. And I think if you look at Baylor's staff right now, Dennis Johnson, Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts, you got to be very confident that they can develop a guy like Cedric Roberts into a very, very good player. Now, the offer list isn't there. The interest really isn't there. The notoriety isn't there. But he was a hidden gem who's only played 1 season of football and was already an honorable mention type player in a 6A level of football in the state of Texas, which is pretty crazy. And I think you're going to see him over the offseason and heading into next fall. I think you're going to see a lot more teams start to take notice. And I will say, right after he committed to Baylor, there were a whole lot of schools following him on Twitter. And I think that rush of offers could be coming soon.
Anything, speaking of Twitter, that is really, we've talked about how that's become like the recruiting hub of all hubs. Anything that's popped up recently in the last couple days that has caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, the Ish Harris thing obviously was pretty big. Twitter's a weird place because you get to kind of see storylines and also kind of create your own storylines a little bit based on what is tweeted. So, a guy like Jalen Peoples out of Cedar Hill, there was a lot of thought that he might make a decision over the weekend, and he didn't. And he posted on Twitter, hey, I'm not going to make my decision. I'm going to push it back. And, you create your own opinion on it, when you're on the outside looking in. So That's another interesting storyline. There's a few others. You got guys tweeting like Ish Harris tweeted hook 'em today. Or yesterday, I guess, and you're just like, that's, what's going on there? Or like, it's just different things like that. And those are kind of the trends that I'm seeing. And the other trend that I'm seeing is, and this is something that I think the Baylor commits need to get in on, but the Texas A&M commits are all over Twitter. And they are all over recruiting kids especially in the Houston area, like Donovan Green and PJ Williams. Those guys are recruiting kids like crazy on Twitter for the A&M staff. So hopefully these Baylor commits are able to bring that same kind of mojo for the staff, because that's a big plus when you have guys that are really hyping you up and trying to get you to become a part of their program. And I think you're going to see more of that as things start to continue in the recruitment trail.
Grace and I'd be remiss. We talk about it every week, and we gotta keep going, especially with the FCS kicking off now and all these JUCOs playing. 2021, anything new there that you're seeing?
Yeah, so 2021 is a little bit at a standstill. They had the JUCO offer to Kingsley last, I guess, 2 weeks ago. They have the offensive line offers still out. They missed out on the Norfolk State offensive lineman who decided that he was going to go to Georgia Tech. So that's one, I guess, miss. They didn't offer him, but there was some talk that they might. So there's still some names out there, and Baylor's still recruiting on the trail in the portal and trying to figure out who's going to enter the portal and just try to find those available guys. And Baylor really needs to add a couple more offensive linemen. And it's taken them a while to evaluate and offer guys. They've only offered a couple out of the portal. Only one isn't currently committed, and that's Justice O out of UNLV, which, frankly, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't, made the move yet. So we'll see what happens there. I think he'd be a nice fit. But this staff really needs to figure out a way to land some of those guys that are proven because they really need the help now. On the offense line, they need guys that can come in and play right away.
What about in the transfer portal? Do you feel like when the FCS, these JUCO seasons start closing up, that's going to be an absolute frenzy, that we haven't seen even maybe the beginning of how crazy the portal is going to get?
No, that could be an interesting part of it. Definitely. Now, the JUCO part, they're kind of counted as 2021 recruits. I guess not necessarily transfer portal guys, but that's going to be a mad frenzy. The FCS one is an interesting one that I hadn't really actually thought about. But you're right. That could be pretty crazy once those guys finish their season and summer rolls around. And if schools still have room, I mean, if you're seeing a guy that, had a huge year at the FCS level and he plays the position that you are wanting to fill, I mean, absolutely. And that could be a whole nother issue. And I will say a lot of guys in the portal right now haven't found landing spots, and it's just becoming pretty ridiculous. I mean, I'm hearing of kids going from Power 5 schools to community colleges because that's just how things have been playing out for them, and that's just not what they were anticipating, and that's just what's happened to some, and it's heartbreaking. And as more kids enter the portal, it's just going to become worse and worse. And I just would caution kids, the grass is not always greener on the other side. It really, really isn't.
And then Grayson, how about 2023? I know, again, we talk about it's a little bit out right now, but is there anything you can give us that you're already seeing in 2023 that's promising?
Yeah, so I was actually going to mention him, but I was hoping you would ask about 2023 so that I could talk about this kid who was also on campus over the weekend, Cy Ranch linebacker Christian Brathwaite. I've mentioned him a few times. I think he's a lock to be a top 25 player in the state of Texas, has the opportunity to be a top 10 player in this state of Texas, 6'2", 225 pounds, looking to run a sub-11 100 meter, which at that size, at linebacker is absolutely crazy. So he's one to keep an eye on because he loves Baylor. The Cy Ranch connection is absolutely real with Drake Dabney and Romario Noel already at Baylor. Bryce Simpson, the 2022 offensive lineman, also has a Baylor offer. So you put all that together, Baylor's in a pretty good spot with Christian Brathwaite. A long way to go in his recruitment, but I think they're off to a nice start. And I think you're seeing that in the 2023 class. Baylor's off to a good start with a lot of the guys that they've kind of been going after. They've been early with the offers to a lot of them, and that's been a big part of it. On the defensive line, offensive line, and linebacker position, they're doing a really nice job. And also yesterday, Kevin Curtis put out his first offer in the 2023 class, the new cornerbacks coach, as he went ahead and offered Malik Muhammad, who is currently moving to IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. But he played at South Oak Cliff last year, already had the offer from SMU before Kevin Curtis left. So there's a little bit of a connection there. Obviously, him moving to IMG, that does not usually bode well for Baylor, but maybe he comes back after 1 year and plays his senior year in the state of Texas. If he does that, Baylor has a little bit of a better chance, but his offer list is pretty crazy. I just think it's worth noting that Kevin Curtis did go ahead and put out that offer, and it's a pretty high-end recruit.
Have you gotten to hear anything or even talk to Kevin Curtis to get kind of a feel or an idea of what he's going to be here at Baylor?
No, I haven't, and I'm honestly really looking forward to his interview today on SicEm365 Radio. I think that's going to be very insightful. Now, I've heard good things about him. I've heard good things about him as a recruiter, and I think he's kind of proving that a little bit. A lot of guys in the state have a lot of respect for him, and he's a guy who is well known in that Dallas area, and I think that's always huge when you add a guy to the staff that, has those connections. So I think that's where things are at with Kevin. And like I said, I'm looking forward to hearing more about him because his backstory is probably going to be really interesting. And I'm curious to see kind of what his philosophy is on the recruiting trail and as far as his position. What does he want to see from his cornerbacks? I know Dave Aranda would love some press coverage, some physical play. So I'm curious if that's kind of his mentality as well, which I'm sure it is.
And then Grayson, the FCS this weekend. Your boys, Incarnate Word knocked off McNeese State. Tough for me, McNeese State being my dark horse. But your contender, you decided to go with North Dakota State. You pulled that move, and they lost.
Yeah, they got smashed. They got absolutely smashed. But it's okay because I don't feel bad about my pick anymore because they've come back down to earth. So I don't feel bad. I knew it was going to be, a rebuilding year without Trey Lance there. I wasn't playing as safe as others were expecting, but I will say I listened to y'all last week when y'all were talking about our picks. And y'all were talking about where's Incarnate Word? What is Incarnate Word? What a horrible pick. What is this pick? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, guys, it's in San Antonio. Listen to JD. He was trying to tell y'all, and Incarnate Word is actually a program that's a little bit on the rise. I've been hearing about a little bit just because obviously I follow a little bit of the San Antonio athletics and things like that. But, they had the number one recruiting class in the Southland Conference this year. So they seem to be trending in the right direction. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out. But needless to say, I was very happy to get that win and also very happy that y'all finally found out where Incarnate Word was.
Wow. How are you feeling now just a couple of games into this season of the FCS Challenge? You worried about the North Dakota State boys in green? Do you think they'll be all right?
No, I'm worried. Oh, they could be really bad this year. Watch, I picked them the 1 year that they go, 7-4 or whatever their possibilities are. I'm nervous. Southern Illinois, I will say though, has put out some really good players. Jeremy Chin, who's with the Carolina Panthers, was there, and that defense looks stout. And if North Dakota State doesn't figure out a way to get their quarterback going, they're going to have problems. And their quarterback, just a little fun fact, is Zeb Nolan, who actually played at Iowa State, I believe. And Baylor, I think, played against him at one point, but he was terrible against Southern Illinois over the weekend. So a little nervous about them, but happy that my underdog, my sleeper pick, got a win.
Yeah, what is your connection to Incarnate Word? Is that just a regional thing?
So, obviously I grew up in San Antonio, but I also have about 3 or 4 friends who played on the Incarnate Word basketball team over the years. And so they love Incarnate Word. They'll talk about Incarnate Word a little bit. And so I've always, have a little bit of fondness towards them because of that. And then, being a San Antonio team, much like UTSA, I hope they do okay and do well because San Antonio doesn't have a Power 5 team. So those are pretty much their only really sporting teams outside of San Antonio, outside of the Spurs. So yeah, it's fun to see them do okay.
Yeah. Have you looked at this week's slate? Are you looking forward already to your FCS games this Saturday?
I have not looked into them yet, and I'm nervous too because I really hope North Dakota State gets someone really bad, but I highly doubt it.
No, their schedule's pretty loaded, pretty packed. And have you watched, JD and I talked about this earlier on the show, have you gotten to watch the FCS games? I feel like they're buried in the depths, the doldrums of ESPN or some random sites. Flow Sports, God help us. It's just terrible.
They're on like ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. And I don't know if you saw this, but Flow Sports got a lot of grief because at that baseball tournament over the weekend, the Round Rock Classic that Baylor was in, it was literally just this little camera just like sitting there, and that's what you're watching the game on. Come on.
Flow Sports is terrible. I mean, I don't know whose uncle is the one that runs the Round Rock Classic or cousin that runs even the one before that with Arkansas and TCU and Texas Tech, all those teams. That was Flow Sports. You're in Globe Life Park and Flow Sports is doing your game. No sense. It's an atrocity. I cancel Flow Sports, cancel culture.
For real. I mean, if we're going to be paying for ESPN Plus, at least put all those things on ESPN Plus. Jeez.
I'll retweet that. I want to watch more FCS football, especially when my Southeast Louisiana Lions go toe-to-toe with Sam Houston State. That was a crazy good game. Cole Kelly, Steamboat for Selah. Crazy good game, and I can't even watch it because, look, they would get crazy ratings. I'm telling you, FCS football could be the new XFL.
No, it's going to have to pass up fan-controlled football first, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do that because that's been trending like crazy recently with Johnny Football and those guys. But I do agree. I mean, I kind of like FCS in the spring. I just wish I would get to watch more, and I'm sure I will now that, I'm focusing in on Incarnate Word in North Dakota State. But yeah, definitely need to make some time to at least watch a little bit of those games.
Grayson Grunday for the big board. Thanks for joining us today and talking all things recruiting. I'll see you again Thursday. How about it?
Let's do it. Thanks, Drake.
All right, when we come back, we got Lauren Withrow from West Virginia Sports Illustrated because there is a basketball game going on today in Morgantown. How about Baylor men's basketball against number 6 West Virginia? It's a huge game now, just 3 hours away. I'm going to try to figure out how to make my camera stop doing whatever it's doing. But again, when we come back, Lauren Withrow joins the show. This is Up Tempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight but finished strong to fend off Marquette 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse downed North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3 Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back into the remote Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Super Tuesday. Working remote today and talking with Lauren Withrow. Lauren, thanks for joining the show today, breaking things down across men's basketball.
Thanks so much for having me. We are in for a good top 10 conference matchup tonight. I think this is going to be the biggest game that we're going to see before we head into the tournament.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, this is what I would say is the biggest Big 12 regular season game so far this year that people have been waiting for. It is Baylor and West Virginia tonight, a top 6 matchup. And I think as someone who covers Baylor, I'm glad it's in Morgantown. I mean, put these Bears to the test after they just fell against Kansas. I'm sure that you can give a little bit of insight. I mean, Morgantown's a tough place to play.
It is. The Mountaineers they're winning by an average just over 8 points per game at home. So they're going to be, although they're the underdog heading into tonight's game, they're going to be ready to compete. And they're going to be up against a Baylor team that's coming off their first win of the season. And I think that loss against Kansas for Baylor really gave West Virginia kind of a recipe for success. They now have a model that they can try to follow if they're going to defeat the Bears tonight. And I think a big part of that is going to be in the paint. We're looking at two outstanding teams. Both, Baylor leading the conference, leading the nation in 3-point shooting. Both teams about on the same page. I think they're both at just over 32% in 3-point field goal defense. So that battle's really going to come on the inside tonight. And I think a lot of it's going to be off the glass and then down to free throws. So we're in for a down to the wire game. These two teams are neck and neck. And I think that it is in Morgantown will make it that much more competitive.
How about, Lauren, I want to get your thoughts with Baylor against Kansas. Kansas was able to dominate inside with David McCormick, and it felt like the Bears just couldn't grab a rebound. Do you think it's a game in which West Virginia just really attacks the glass and tries to get things done down low?
I think it is. And that's somewhere where if you talk to West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins, he'll tell you this is one of the best offensive teams, if not the best offensive team he's had since the 2010 team that went to the Final Four. However, they're struggling on defense this year. So I think the biggest mismatch is going to be when Baylor drives the paint. I think that West Virginia is going to struggle for those defensive rebounds, and I think Baylor's going to come up on top with the offensive rebounds. And Baylor's too good of a perimeter shooting team to allow those second or third chance opportunities, because if they can do that, they can just kick it out to the perimeter, and it's no question that they'll be able to drain the three. So those rebounds are going to be huge, and this game is going to come all down to possessions. If the Mountaineers are going to have any chance, they need to be 1-for-1 on every possession and not give up those defensive rebounds.
West Virginia can score with the very best teams out there. They're a great offensive team. And we've seen Baylor do that too. Prior to their COVID break, they were averaging somewhere around 85 points per game. And then 58 against Kansas. Is this a game in which West Virginia maybe slows things down, or are they going to go press Virginia all the way and just try to attack Baylor as fast as possible?
That's a good question. And that comes back to what I think has been a struggle for the Mountaineers is they're a team that tends to come out hot and maybe play really hard. You'll see Derek Culver. He's averaging just over 15 points per game, but he might put all 15 of those up in the first half and then see a scoring drought. So this game is going to come down to 40 minutes of disciplined defense for the Mountaineers. So when you talk about pace, I think Baylor is superior at actually setting the pace of the game. West Virginia is really going to have to avoid scrambling. Their defense hasn't been great this year, but when they're down on offense, they're going to have to be really smart making their plays and not rushing to the basket and getting those buckets.
One of my favorite players to watch in the Big 12, every team seems to have that guy, whether it be Mac McClung at Texas Tech or Jared Butler at Baylor, Brady Manick, Austin Reeves at Oklahoma, but Miles McBride at West Virginia, I like watching him just play basketball. He has had an all-star season this year. I assume he'll be first team all Big 12. Is he going to be the difference maker for West Virginia tonight, or is there somebody that maybe is being overlooked?
Deuce McBride, he is this team's constant. He's their playmaker. He's consistently putting up points. And I think he's going to be a difference maker in the sense that he's this team's best inside jump shooter. So if they can't shoot the three and they are trying to get inside, he's going to be their best look for a two. But other than that, I don't actually think he's going to be the difference maker. He is a constant player. You kind of know what you're going to get out of Deuce McBride. I think it goes back to Derek Culver. He's going to be down low. And he's a player, I said earlier, he might put up 15 points in the first half and then none in the second half. And he's not great at the free throw line. He's shooting just over 58%. So when this game comes down to the fouls and getting to the charity stripe, his play is going to be super important. And he's going to have to stay out of foul trouble. And like I said, Culver's averaging just over 10 rebounds per game. And if this game comes down to the battle on the glass, he's going to have to do that on both offense and defense. Culver's a player that you see put in a little bit more effort on offense, and he doesn't always get in the zone on defense, which is exactly what he has to do tonight. So I think Culver is going to be the difference maker for the Mountaineers. Another player that I think could play a pivotal role, who's kind of a wild card, is Sean McNeil. He's this team's best three-point shooter. He's shooting just under 40% 40% from beyond the arc. He had 4 of the team's 6 in their most recent contest. So he's a player that could make a big impact in getting some of those 3-point shots off for West Virginia.
Lauren, when it comes to pace of play, and I know we talked about it a little bit, if this game ends up being a slow defensive battle, does that favor Baylor or West Virginia?
It's a really good question. I think if it's a defensive battle, I think it's going to favor Baylor because, like I said, the Mountaineers aren't playing their best defense this year. If you talk to Huggins, he'll always say, if you ask him, how do you win a game? He says, well, it's not by our defense. We need to score more points than them. So if both teams are going through scoring droughts and struggling on offense, if, both teams are guarding the perimeter well, just over 32% for both teams, and then they're playing defense inside, I think it's going to end up favoring Baylor. The Mountaineers have the worst inside shooting percentage in the conference, and I think that could really hurt them. And that's a big part of why Kansas was so successful against Baylor's, because they shot just over 67% from inside. So if the Mountaineers can't do that, it's pretty much even everywhere out.
If you are Bob Huggins, too, and the coaching staff for West Virginia, and what you've seen out of this team, what are your 5-ish key points or so? Maybe even less than that. What are just some of the highlights, some things that West Virginia will have to do tonight to be able to beat Baylor at home?
The number one thing is going to be the defensive rebounds. They can not give this Baylor team second or third chance opportunities because they're too good. Their numbers pretty much, if you look down the stat line for both teams, are higher in all scoring categories. Baylor has over a 21-point scoring margin so far this season. That's huge. So every possession is going to be super important for the Mountaineers. Beyond the defensive rebounds, it's going to be the offensive rebounds. This team, if they're playing inside, they need to improve their scoring in the paint. And the big part of that is going to come down to Derek Culver. Another thing I think is going to be playing that 40 minutes of disciplined defense. This team can't come out hot in the first half. I think it's going to be touch and go the entire game, but if they give Baylor an opportunity to get the edge on them, it's going to be really tough for the Mountaineers to come back. And then finally, I think it's going to come down to the free throws. West Virginia tends to come down to the free throws at the end of their game, and that's how they've overcome a lot of deficits. They're usually pretty good, but if that's where the edge is going to be tonight, their shooting needs to be spot on.
Lauren, I'm sure you've seen the commercial, and I bet a lot of people out there that have watched a West Virginia game this season like I have, where Bob Huggins says the greatest resource in West Virginia is not coal, it's the people. And so when it comes to having a crowd in Morgantown and just it being a tough place to play, I know with COVID, everything's been a lot different, but the fact that this game's on the road for Baylor, how much of an edge do you lean toward West Virginia because of it being in Morgantown?
I am actually taking West Virginia with about a 4-point edge on this game. Like I said, they're outscoring their opponents by an average of just over 8 points per game at the Coliseum. And that's one of the best places to play in college basketball, especially as they start to allow fans to come in. And this is a game, too, we can't forget, that has been rescheduled over and over and over again. And it being a huge top 10 Big 12 matchup this late in the season, the energy is going to be that much higher and the stakes are that much higher. I think the Mountaineers have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. They went through a rough patch this season. They lost one of their star players. They had to reset their strategy, which I think they did quite well. So this is their first game, especially after all of these COVID interruptions, traveling to Texas, having this game canceled at what was supposed to be a 3-game, 6-day stretch in Texas is going to be huge, playing it at the Coliseum, and I think it will give them that much of an advantage.
With this West Virginia team and Coach Bob Huggins, who has been just is spectacular in his time in Morgantown, does it feel like this squad, and they've seen a lot of really, really good West Virginia teams, but from what you've seen here, does it feel like this squad has a real shot at a Final Four or national championship run now, especially that they're getting hot at the right time?
I think they absolutely do. I think this team, I don't know that they have a ceiling this year, which is unusual. Usually with Bob Huggins teams, they play really good defense, but it's their lack of scoring that ends up knocking them out of the tournament. And I think this team is easily in the Elite Eight, and I think they've got a real chance at making it to the Final Four because their defense, although it's not where it has been, their scoring has become that much better. And I think that's going to be the difference maker for the Mountaineers, and especially Bob Huggins, who's approaching his 900th career win. This team has definitely something special about them, and they're getting the confidence at the right time of the season.
You know, Lauren, I feel like I've completely forgotten the fact that we run a Baylor-centric radio show here because I've just been given all the spotlight to West Virginia. When you look across the way and you see a team like Baylor, I'd be remiss to not mention that they still have Jared Butler and they still have Maceo Teague and Davion Mitchell, Mark Vidal. When you look at Baylor, what do you see that makes them so good?
I look at Butler. I mean, he is the best three-point shooter. He's shooting just over 43% from beyond the arc. And he also leads the Big 12 in steals. He's got just over 2 per game. And I think that's going to be a big factor in this game. When it gets really gritty and teams are starting to rush, if West Virginia is rushing on their offense, he's going to take advantage to disrupt that offense and convert on it. So I think he's going to be a difference maker. He's a huge player. And you mentioned Vidal. He's a silent killer. He's this team's X factor. He is a player where you might not see everything in the stat line, but he plays dirty. He takes charges. He commands the court in a way that sets his teammates up for success. And he's a very unselfish player. And I think when you ask who the difference maker for Baylor will be tonight, I do think it will be Vidal.
Well, I know we're running a little bit over time here, and I hate to keep you too long, but I love the analysis. I got to ask you, when you look at, I know you said you like West Virginia to win it tonight, and I like West Virginia at least plus the points, plus 4.5 without a doubt, just because they're at home, they're playing really well right now, and Baylor just lost by 13 to a Kansas team that I don't think is as good as West Virginia. But I want to know, Lauren, when you think about this matchup tonight, what is your prediction? How do you think things will go from opening tip all the way through?
I think it's going to be neck and neck. I think there will be 1 point, maybe to end the first half, where Baylor will have a bit of a lead. But West Virginia is a team that can come out of the locker room and turn that around. So I think that so long as West Virginia can create a scoring drought for Baylor without going into that drought themselves, it's going to be neck and neck all the way down to the final minutes. And then I think it is going to come down to the free throw line. And hopefully that's where West Virginia has their edge for a win at the Coliseum. But I think we're in for a great ball game this evening.
And scoring wise, do you think it'll end up being one of those high scoring bouts in Morgantown?
I'm looking at my predictions about 77 to 74, kind of meets in the middle about where these teams are putting up points and allowing points so far this season. I don't think that we're going to see Baylor with an 80-plus point game, and I don't think that Baylor will hold West Virginia to 63 points like they have their opponents so far this season. So I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, right in the 70s, and like I said, it's going to come down to those free throws.
Well, Lauren's hammering the over and hammering West Virginia plus 4 tonight. Lauren Withrow, Sports Illustrated, West Virginia. Thanks so much for joining us today to break down the game.
Thanks so much.
All right, you guys, when we come back, we're going to hit a break real quick with Armstrong's Minute. And when we come back, Danny Davis joins us from the Austin American-Statesman to break down last night's game between Baylor and UT in women's basketball. Baylor clinching their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright. I'm Drake Toll. Armstrong Sims running production today. This is Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the number one selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back to the remote Petty Clinical OT Bears Den. Today, I am Drake Toll. Armstrong Sims in the void producing the show. We just had Lauren Withrow on to break down men's basketball between Baylor and West Virginia that is now 2.5 hours away, a 4 o'clock tip Central Time. And now joining us, Danny Davis from the Austin American-Statesman. Danny coming on to break down last night's women's basketball game between Baylor and Texas in Austin. Danny, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. I'm just going to say full disclosure, I'm currently holding and feeding my son, so if you hear any weird sounds, it's him, not me. I'm just going to throw him under the bus, but that's what's going on over here.
Danny, it's better for content. This is a family-oriented show, and you're just bringing a whole new element to that.
Yeah, we like to. I'm trying to get him started early in this business.
I love it. I'm glad that you're teaching them young, Danny. So really where I want to start is not even with last night. I want to get your thoughts. I remember where I was standing when I heard that Vic Schaefer was hired at Texas. That'll be a moment in my life that I never forget, just because I was really fingers crossed that UT went after some random mid-major guy. But no, they landed Vic Schaefer, and I really think he's going to build this program into something special. What are your thoughts, your honest thoughts, getting to work in and around, I'm sure, his Zoom press conferences so far with the Lady Longhorns on Schaefer and his time at UT already?
Well, if you never have had a chance to interview or talk with Vic, he's a reporter's dream, because you ask him a 2-second question, he'll talk for 5 minutes. So he fills up the notebook. It's been good getting to know him, his assistant coaches, that whole crew. But I think the jury's out right now. I think the frustrating thing about this season is because of the COVID offseason and him not really getting to work with the team, him only really having 10 players this entire season, it's just been kind of hard to judge him. And, Texas fans like to kind of look at the picture and everything that's really good that happens with this team is, because Vic's a genius. Everything that's bad happened to this team is because Karen left this place as a flaming pile of garbage. So, I mean, it's kind of just tough to tell what's what. I think this is something that, a couple years down the road, when Vic has a couple of his recruiting classes in, he's kind of able to, mold his players and have complete off seasons with him, the ones that are still on the team. I think we'll finally be able to see what a Vic Schaefer team looks like, but I just think it's really tough to tell because, they've looked good at times this season. They've looked bad at times at the season. They looked terrible up in Waco. They looked competitive last night. So, I mean, it's tough to tell what exactly Texas is going to look like going forward, but, the fans are excited. That's good. That's not something we could say the last couple of years. So we're just going to have to kind of wait it out and see. And that's a really long answer. I'm kind of talking like Vic, but we're just kind of wait and see it with this Texas team.
Danny, I actually grew up, my hometown of Valonia, Arkansas is the same. I went to Valonia High School, and that's the same place that Karen Aston got her coaching start, won a state championship in like 93, I think. So I kind of I've always been privy to Karen Aston. She's like one of the only ones to ever make it out of the town. I guess maybe I'll make that list one day. But her leaving the program and kind of that entire situation, was that expected? And in that, do you think that's kind of tarnished really what this season could have been?
I think it was probably time for Karen to move on. The thing with Karen is her contract was up after last year. And so had her contract not been up, she probably would be back. I don't think they would have fired her after last year. But then you're kind of stuck in that weird situation where Texas is a little unsure about her, and they're not going to want to give her a 3-4 year deal for, probably more money than she was making. She was not making that much money. And if you're Karen, why would you accept a 1 or 2 year deal from Texas to prove yourself? I mean, she's been coaching for a dozen years as a head coach. So, she's not going to accept some, bad deal. So it's probably just one of those things where it was just time. I'm sure both sides are disappointed. Karen will be coaching again. Whether it's, she gets a job this offseason or she wants to take off a couple more years to, be with her family and all that stuff. But down the road, I think both sides are probably going to be better. But just Texas was not having the success that Texas fans demand. And last season was really frustrating, I think, for everyone involved, even before the virus kind of shut things down ahead of time.
Yeah. Danny, if you will, I don't know if there's a way to turn your camera off and back on. I think you froze on us, but I hear your audio loud and clear. So we're getting all the analysis as good as we can. But kind of where I want to go from there, from Karen Aston now to Vic Schaefer and the volatility of this Texas team this year. You talked about the first matchup in Waco in which UT only put up, I think it was 35 points?
60-35.
Yeah, just a complete demolishing in Waco. And then last night, what did you expect, I guess, coming from Waco, then the teams meet in Austin? What were you expecting coming into last night's game?
I expected Texas to play better than 60-35. They've been embarrassed on Saturday, losing the way they lost to Oklahoma at home. This was going to be their senior night, and granted, their only senior is a graduate transfer from Duke, so she'd only been here for a year, but obviously an important part of that program. So they're going to want to show out for her in their home finale. But at the end of the day, Baylor's Baylor. No one was expecting Texas. I don't think many people were expecting Texas to win that game, but they were expecting Texas to be more competitive, and that's what they were, save for a 5-minute stretch in the third quarter where Baylor looked like the number 6 team in the country, and Texas looked like a team that was not ranked. I think Texas, there's a lot of things that they can look at that matchup and get positives out of. The whole moral victory thing is a cliche, but there were positive things that came out of that if you just take out the third quarter, which I know we're not allowed to do, but it is what it is.
Right. And I think that's kind of where things were. Definitely the third quarter was the definition of last night's game. It was a 2-point bout at halftime. I mean, UT played well. What I want to get your thoughts, though, when it comes to the defensive side of things for Baylor and how they've been able to defend Charlie Collier, not just last night, but in game one. Obviously, she did much better in the game in Austin last night. But is she really one of the better players you've gotten to cover at UT? And what does that say about Baylor being able to stop her like they have?
The weird thing about Charlie is she's what projected to be the number one pick in the draft, but she has these games that you look at and it's like, well, why does she only have, what was it, 2 points in Waco, and last night was 12 and 9. But then you kind of look at it deeper, and it's a little tougher for her to get those 20 games when Baylor or whoever they're facing is throwing 2-3 people at her, and her guards aren't knocking down shots. And so Texas needs its guards to be able to play well and make people pay for throwing people at multiple people at Charlie. But when you're playing a team like Baylor and you got Dee Richards out there who's the defensive goddess, it's a little tough. It's a little tough to just say, hey, guards, go knock down those shots, because that whole Baylor 1 through 5, whatever, they're shading people, going straight up, playing zone, whatever they want, whatever Kim wants to do. It seems like they have a lot of success on defense. So Baylor's a tough matchup for Charlie. It always has been, but she's not the first Longhorn who's going to struggle against Baylor, and she's not the last. And anyone who wants to look at her WNBA stock and raise it or lower it because of how she played against Baylor is silly, because that's not going to happen to her when she's in the WNBA. It's going to be a lot more one-on-one for her, which she fares pretty well against.
Yeah. With Baylor side of things too, now 11 straight outright Big 12 championships for Kim Mulkey and company. For someone that covers UT, is it getting old yet?
Yeah, I enjoy Kim. I think that's not something that's said a lot in Austin, but I kind of like the fact that she drives these Texas fans nuts. I think that makes me chuckle a little bit, that she's kind of living rent free in the heads of a lot of these fans. But whether you like her or not, you got to give Baylor their props. I mean, this is a program that has run this conference. That's tough to do in any sport. Texas has a volleyball team that runs the Big 12 every year, and you can talk to Baylor fans about how tough it's been to get over that hump and try to knock Texas off that stoop. So I mean, that's just really tough to do in any sport, and they've been able to do it in probably the biggest sport on the women's side of college athletics, and won a couple of national championships during that run. And you can hate on the Lady Bears and hate on Kim as much as you want, but at the end of the day, the trophies are the trophies. And if you're a Texas fan, that's what you want. You want Vic Schaefer to be Kim Mulkey. You want the Longhorns to be the Lady Bears. You want that success. And, hopefully if you're a Texas fan, that's what's being built here. And I think that'd be good too for, this rivalry. If Texas can get up to that top 10 status, and we can have these, 10,000 fans shoved into the Irwin Center, the Farrell Center, to watch two top 10 teams go at it. I think that'd be really fun if Texas can get there in a couple of years.
I got to talk to Karen Aston just a couple of weeks, I guess, after that she was done at UT. And you could tell, in the question, I asked her a question about Kim Mulkey, and you could tell all throughout both of their careers that the relationship was just so, there was a lot of distaste in that matchup between those two head coaches. I think there was a lot of respect on one end, but on the other, they were rivals. Those two wanted to beat each other so bad. But Kim and Vic seem to have a much different dynamic and relationship. What have you kind of heard from Vic Schaefer about Kim Mulkey and how they interact?
I mean, it's kind of funny to see them hugging it out after the game last night, even though, we're in these coronavirus times, and I don't know if you're supposed to be doing that, but I was used to seeing Karen and Kim kind of give the 1 second handshake as they flew by each other. So that was a little different, but I mean, every time Vic is asked about Kim, he's nothing but, nice things, respectful things to say about her. Once again, what exactly are you going to say negative about someone who has all those trophies and rings and wins on their resume? And, I think there's a mutual respect between the two of them. And I listened to part of Kim's press conference last night, and she was saying lots of good things about Vic too. And I know they've chatted a couple times throughout the season, or during the offseason, about some of the Big 12 regulations and stuff like that. And when Kim got sick, Vic reached out, and when Texas was stuck in Waco on Valentine's Day because of the ice, Kim said, hey, if you guys want to use our practice gym, because Texas was playing at TCU a couple days later, hey, you guys can just come on down here and use the gym. And I don't know if that invitation would have been extended to Karen last year if this was the exact same situation. So it just seems to be there's a mutual respect. But at the same time, it's easy for Kim to like Vic because her team is better than Texas. So we'll see if Texas catches up to Baylor, if that is all cuddly and friendly down the road, or if things get a little bit more heated. But for now, you're not going to get Vic to say anything mean about Kim, and I don't think Kim's going to say anything bad about Vic. It seems to be a good, friendly, mutual respect there.
Well, how about this too? I want to get your thoughts, Danny, on Texas moving forward and kind of what their outlook is, whether it be NCAA tournament or Big 12 tournament. I think, they're on the bubble in a lot of what I've seen, but they're also receiving votes. I mean, it's going to be close, it seems like. What is your outlook for Texas moving forward and into the postseason?
I think Texas gets into the NCAA tournament unless they completely just stink it up in Fort Worth on Sunday and go one and done in the tournament. Their net rating, I think, is in the 20s. So I think overall, or maybe in the early 30s, but I think their overall numbers are decent enough. They don't really have a signature win. They did beat Iowa State in Ames when Iowa State was ranked, so they have that. But some of their losses have been pretty questionable, but they also have some good losses. They lost by 5 to A&M, which is now currently the number 2 team in the nation. They'll have 2 losses to Baylor, a top 6 team. So, they have some losses to some formidable foes. West Virginia has 2 losses to them, and that's a ranked team. So, they have a couple bad losses, no key wins, but overall, I think their resume, I think they've done enough to get in. They're not going to be a 5 seed. They're definitely going to be have to work their way and get, a tough first draw or two, but they should make it. I thought they should have made it last year had the tournament not been canceled, but they're probably going to be around the same position, although I think last year's resume was a little better than this year's resume.
Do you feel like this Texas team could be a contender for a Sweet 16 too?
It depends on what Texas team shows up. They've, at times this season they've looked really good, and at times this season they have looked not spectacular. A lot of it probably is just going to depend on how those guards play and what kind of performances they get. Charlie's going to be Charlie, and going to give you that 20 and 10, 20 and 12. As long as, they're not throwing 3 people at her. And if that happens, the guards need to step up. So, a lot of this is going to depend on that guard play. They could definitely win a game or 2 in the tournament, but, they could also be one and done, and lose to a team like they did this past weekend against Oklahoma. Everything's on the table, which I guess is going to make my job a lot of fun in the postseason.
Absolutely. Well, Danny, last question for you. I know we kept you a little bit over time here, but was there any one thing last night that jumped out to you between Baylor and Texas?
It was fun. Last night was one of those games where, and Vic has commented on this a lot during the season, where you miss the fans. When Queen got her technical in the first quarter, the Baylor fans that would have been in attendance at that game would have been going nuts. When Vic's being restrained by his assistant and his daughter who works for the team, the Texas fans would have been going crazy last night. When it was a closely contested game in the first quarter, everyone would have been living and dying in every play. But you just didn't get that with however a couple hundred people they were allowing in the building. And so that was one of those games where I just hope going forward, fans are allowed to be there, because Baylor, Texas should be a great atmosphere in the sport, and hopefully they get that going forward. And I'm sorry, my son's being a little upset right now. But
not a problem.
He's upset that there weren't fans there either. So
Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we get to see you guys again in the Big 12 tournament and talk a little bit more about these two teams. It was really great to get your insight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, that was Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman, talking Baylor women's basketball last night against UT. A win in Austin for the Lady Bears by 7, 64-57. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Kim Mulkey breaking down things from that game last night and her 11th straight Big 12 championship. I'm Drake Toll. Armstrong Sims is in the void. We'll be right back on Uptempo.
Despite a series fight from UT, the number 6 Baylor Lady Bears clinched their 11th straight Big 12 championship outright last night with a 64-57 win in Austin. Alyssa Smith led Baylor with 23 points and 7 boards, while Queen Egbo contributed 13 points and 14 rebounds. Elsewhere on the women's side, UConn found themselves in a dogfight but finished strong to fend off Marquette 63-53, and number 25 DePaul fell at home to 3 and 16 Butler 86-81. On the men's side, it was absolute bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, with over 10 lead changes in a battle that went down to the wire. Despite Cade Cunningham not scoring for the first 30 minutes of gameplay, the Cowboys eked out a 79-75 win. And number 21 Virginia knocked off Miami at home 62-51, while Syracuse downed North Carolina 72-70. In golf, the Baylor men's team is currently tied for 6th place at the Cabo Collegiate at 12 over par after the first round, and number 1 women are tied for 9th at 6 over par after round 1. And number 3, Baylor men's basketball is back again tonight to face number 6 West Virginia for the first time this season. Tip is at 4 p.m. in Morgantown on ESPN. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84 and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese, and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrapped fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, welcome back in the remote Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I am Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims today. I say alongside. Armstrong's out there somewhere. Armstrong is out there somewhere. Baylor women's basketball winning against Texas last night, clinching their 11th straight outright Big 12 championship. We were going to hear from Kim Mulkey, but I think we're going to divert from that a little bit because I got something here I want to bring up. David K. posted this, the Baylor men's basketball team and some of their highlights and notes coming into the game against West Virginia tonight. Storylines for Baylor. Number 2, Baylor can clinch its first conference title since 1950. That's right. Baylor went to a Final Four in 1950, I think, or maybe it was 48. I don't know. I wasn't born yet. I'm not sure if you were either. To win with a win Tuesday at West Virginia, they'll do that for the first time since 1950. That's 71 years. And Baylor is playing its third game in 8 days since returning from a stretch of 18 days without a single practice. The Bears are 18-1. That ties the best 19-game record in program history, which was last season. Baylor 3-0 versus top 10 teams with wins at home, on the road, and at neutral sites. That's against Kansas, UT, and Illinois. Tuesday is the 20th series meeting in the last 10 seasons. Baylor's 11-8 all-time, and Baylor has won 3 of the last 4 games against West Virginia. Tell you what, Saturday's loss against Kansas, first time Baylor's trailed in the last 4 minutes of a game this season. They've come back from deficits even at halftime so far this year, but they weren't able to do it against Kansas. And then Baylor scored a season-low 58 points at Kansas, 9 points fewer than any other game that they have so far this year. Tonight, they get a West Virginia team that is hot. West Virginia 10-4 in conference play, number 2 in the Big 12, and they are fighting. West Virginia's got a shot, you guys, to win the Big 12 championship if they're able to win the next couple of games. Baylor, West Virginia, a top 6 matchup in Morgantown. That thing goes down at 4 p.m. I tell you what. Prediction for tonight's game. I'm going to go ahead and lock this thing in. I'm going to go ahead and lock in my prediction tonight. I love what Scott Drew and Baylor have done this season, but what have you done for me lately? If I'm going to go ahead and sell the house on something happening tonight, it's got to be West Virginia plus 4.5. Oh, Sean Bonner. I don't want to have to do this. But I like the West Virginia money line. I think West Virginia gets it. You got to put it into terms like this, folks. West Virginia, all right, is better than Kansas, I think, right now. And Baylor lost at Kansas by 13. Therefore, I'm going to have to go with West Virginia winning tonight in Morgantown. Final score 74-67. West Virginia, 74-67. I think Baylor keeps things close. They got a shot. They're late. They're down by, 4, maybe with a minute and a half left, and then West Virginia free throws end it. And West Virginia ends up winning the game by 7 tonight. I know 7's a lot, but I think that's reasonable when it comes down to free throws, making a difference late. Surprise me. Tell me I'm wrong, but the realist in me says West Virginia wins it tonight. They're on a 3-game win streak against Texas on the road in that crazy game. Then they won at TCU by 8, beat Kansas State by 22. Baylor lost to Kansas. If Baylor plays remotely like they did against Kansas or remotely like they did against Iowa State, they're going to lose tonight by possibly double digits, probably double digits. West Virginia likes to keep things close, but give me West Virginia and Morgantown today. The realist in me says WVU gets the thing done, and Baylor's going to have to win a conference title in the Farrell Center, whether it be Thursday or Sunday against either Oklahoma State or Texas Tech. All right, here's what we got. We were going to go Kim Mulkey. I really wanted to hear from Kim Mulkey, but I think we're running short on time here. Armstrong, You know what? I don't want to go too far over. I don't want to put Armstrong in a tough spot. He's out there somewhere. Let's do a little SicEm Pick'em recap, and then we'll go into celebrity birthdays and this day in sports history. SicEm Pick'em. Arkansas now a 6-point favorite. That line has gone down today. SicEm Pick'em Part 2. Arkansas 6-point favorite at South Carolina. Arkansas, not very good on the road. Not very great. You know, they're better than they have been on the road in the past historically, but I like Arkansas money line. However, -6, a little bit too much. Not so fast, my friend. I don't like the -6. Give me a money line on that one. Up and down the rest of the schedule here in games we have today. Toledo, Central Michigan. Toledo, 16-point favorite. I like Central Michigan +16 tonight. They don't have a ton to play for, but, give it to them. Pittsburgh -4.5. Hammer it. Lock it in. Pittsburgh -4.5. Too easy. Thank you, Las Vegas. Thank you, Las Vegas. Watch this, you guys. That was a fun magic trick. Give me Pittsburgh hammering -4.5 against Wake Forest home. Although Wake Forest playing a little bit better. Illinois and Michigan. Michigan -6.5. Not so fast. Illinois to soon move back tonight. I still like Michigan money line, like parlay a Michigan Arkansas money line with $20 on that one. You're going to make another $20 or so back. I think it's a safe bet. Give me both of those wins. Lock in both of those wins. Alabama at home against Auburn -11. I like the line in that one too. Give me Alabama -11. Texas at Iowa State doesn't even have a line on it. I don't know why. I guess they're just favoring Texas. I like whatever Iowa State is. I like plus the points. I think if it's Texas -12, Iowa State +12. TCU at Texas Tech -12.5. Trends. Texas Tech has lost 3 out of the last 4, but they did just win against Texas at home by 9. TCU just won at Iowa State. Give me TCU +12.5. Reluctantly. Iowa State likes to keep things close. Reluctantly, TCU -12.5. Fresno State at Boise State. I like Boise State to win in that one. Cleveland State -7.5. Lock that one in. Take Cleveland State -7.5. Detroit Mercy. Begging me for mercy. Yeah. Northern Kentucky. I like the Norse. I bet on the Norse a couple times. They've hurt me, but I want the Norse tonight. Give me the Norse. Xavier -2.5 at Georgetown. It's my lock of the day. Thank you, Simon from Shot Quality. Give me Xavier locked in against Georgetown. If you're putting any Monopoly money, you're sprinkling a little Monopoly money on some stuff tonight. Western Michigan, NIU. NIU's -1.5. Not so fast, my friend. Western Michigan +1.5 or a money line if you want to. Indiana, Michigan State 3.5-point favorites. Give me Indiana +3.5. Duke at Georgia Tech -1.5. Give me Georgia Tech -1.5 tonight. LSU -14 at home against Vandy. Not so fast, my friend. Vandy's sneaky. Give me Vanderbilt +14. Wisconsin at Purdue. I like Purdue. No. Wisconsin on a money line for some reason. I don't know why, but my heart says it. And when my heart says something, I'm going to go with it. Give me Wisconsin on the money line. Marquette at DePaul. Marquette 6.5-point favorites. I like Marquette tonight. Kentucky at Ole Miss. Ole Miss by 3. Give me Ole Miss by 40. I don't want Kentucky to win. I know they're not going to win. Lock in Ole Miss -3. That is today's little roundabout, rounding out the part 2 of the SicEm Pick'em. And now, celebrity birthdays. Celebrity birthdays today. Happy March 2nd, everybody. First celebrity birthday, Armstrong.
What today is in important historical?
Today is Happy Texas Independence Day. Happy birthday, Texas.
Yes.
That's exactly what you were
happy
looking for.
birthday, Texas. But yeah, Texas Independence Day.
Why wouldn't it be their birthday?
Because it's not technically the day that they became the Republic of Texas.
Or birthed. It's not the day that Texas was birthed.
But yeah, I guess it is the birthday of Texas.
Yeah, I would say happy birthday, Texas. Are you anti-Texas? Would you not say happy birthday, Texas?
No, you're just Arkansas boy who. Also, by the way, just news alert. Greg Abbott just announced that small businesses across Texas, including restaurants, can now reopen at 100% capacity and no statewide mask mandates. And he announced this on Texas Independence Day, which is the most Texan thing I've ever heard in my life.
You're telling me we don't have to wear masks anymore?
Yep, I'm telling you that.
I got chills.
I mean, he literally announced that on Texas Independence Day. I mean, it does not get more Texas.
Wow. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Today had really good numbers with positivity rates, I think, across Texas, across the country. And wow, to be transitioning into no masks, I kind of teared up a little bit on Up Tempo. Wow. Wow, a year later. Holy cow, man. We're going back to normal.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts, but yeah.
Dang. Wow, that's crazy. You heard it here first on Up Tempo. You heard it here first. We broke that. You know what? We're going to hit a break. Call your brother.
I don't think we broke that much.
All right, celebrity birthdays today. Mikhail Gorbachev. How old's Mikhail Gorbachev today?
93?
90. We literally already broke that.
I know. That's what I was trying to remember.
Crap memory. James Arthur's birthday is today.
24.
I don't remember what he thinks. James, you know what I'm talking about, James Arthur?
No.
Okay. James Arthur sings Say You Won't Let Go. Man, I feel like I know a James Arthur song. Maybe I don't. He's 33. Dr. Seuss would have been how old today? Also, he's very controversial now, Dr. Seuss is.
Dr. Seuss would have been, 95?
117. 117.
That makes more sense.
Yep. He is dead. Luke Combs. How old is Luke Combs today?
Oh, Luke Combs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's like 33?
He's 31. I'm surprised he's that old. Congratulations, Luke Combs. John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi is going to be, 70.
That's what I said. He's 59.
Really?
He's young.
Really?
He is young. Daniel Craig. You know Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I know Daniel Craig. That's difficult. I'm going to go 57.
53.
Dang.
Ben Roethlisberger.
90. No. 30 something.
39.
Okay.
Reggie Bush.
I could do math, but I'm not. I'm just going to say 35.
36. Tua Tagovailoa.
22.
23 today. Big day in the Tagovailoa family. This day in sports history, the 4th Grand National. Gosh, so many Grand Nationals.
Don't do this again.
I still don't know what a Grand National is. Tom Oliver, aboard 7-1 gay lad, wins by 4 links from 74.
1863.
Oh, 42. Pre-Civil War. Antebellum, yep. The 15th Grand... I'm just kidding. The National Association of Professional Baseball Players officially adopts the batter's box. Decide any player betting on his own team will be expelled. Any player betting on any other team forfeits his pay. So apparently you used to be able to bet on other teams in baseball while playing Major League Baseball. Just if you won, you had to give the money away.
1920.
That was 1874. Post Civil War, though. Let me give you a recent one before we go. We're out of time. Australian Wonder Horse Winx sets the world record for Group 1 wins at the Chipping Norton Stakes in Sydney. Stretches unbeaten run to 31 races and her 23rd in the highest class of thoroughbred racing. It's darn good numbers.
Wow. 1902.
2019. Gosh, your memory sucks.
I tuned that out, to be quite honest.
I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims from somewhere, wherever Armstrongs reside. This today has been Up Tempo. We're going to come back and do it all again tomorrow, folks. Happy Tuesday. Happy Super Tuesday. Go watch some Baylor basketball. This has been Up Tempo.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.